everyone. And on behalf of the Friends of President Traore in the West, I welcome you to the July 4th Black Independence Day International broadcast, live from the Ambassador's Hall of the Government of the Republic of Burkina Faso. So this is an historic moment from Ouagadougou, which is the capital of Burkina Faso, to all of Africa, to North, to South America, to the Caribbean, throughout the diaspora. Over 50 leaders, organizers, and visionaries are joining this powerful call to declare independence from neocolonialism, to demand self-determination, and affirm our identity as one Africa.
All right, I'm sorry.
Right. No problem. Okay, so we honor the courage of the Burkinabe people and the leadership of President Ibrahim Traore. So we stand in solidarity with clarity, conviction, and unity, knowing that the liberation of Africa is inseparably tied to the liberation of Afro-descendants worldwide. I'm Dr. Tahita Bronner. All right, so again, I'm Dr. Tahita Bronner. I'm ambassador of the Afro-Descendant Nation and your moderator for today's webcast. Along with me, my co-moderator is Special Envoy to Burkina Faso, Mr. Sifiwe Balika. But before I introduce you to our delegation on the ground here in Burkina, we would like to kick off with opening remarks from Comrade Ramzu Yunus, who is the lead promoter and producer of Black Summer 2025 and today's July 4th event internationally. So I'm going to bring on Brother Ramzu. I'm going to ping you to the screen in just a moment. Okay, I think we can see you, but we can't hear you. Are you talking?
So when I go back, I'm on. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right, salute everyone, to all the guests, the distinguished panelists. We are actually, I don't know if y'all can see the background. Can y'all see where we are?
Yes, we can see the background a little bit when you stand by. Yes.
Yeah, we got thousands. No, wait. We got thousands of people out here for their Black independence. Salute, General. Yeah, can y'all hear me?
Yes.
I don't know, sir. So I'm gonna be real quick because we got thousands of people out here for Black Independence Day, the beginning of Black Summer here in Detroit, as we declare our independence and take control of the city. This day is about declaring independence, about asserting the right of self-determination. Africa, Afro-descendants, none of us are enjoying full self-determination. Afro-descendants don't have this self-determination at no point of, what can I call it? The International Covenant says we all have the right of self-determination. All peoples have the right of self-determination. By virtue of that right, they freely determine their political status and freely pursue their economic, social, and cultural development. Africa has independent status. They have political independence, but they don't have control of their economic development. That's what the fight is about right now, control of economic development. Afro-descendants, we don't have even political status. So we have to establish a political status for ourselves as Afro-descendants, and that's what the Afro-Descendant Nation is about, what the Afro-Descendant Union is about. It's what many of our nationalist organizations are about. So today in Detroit, we're calling it Ground Zero. We are trying to set pace for the rest of America to declare our independence. And we wish to encourage Africa to do the same, to stand up and declare total independence, but total full self-determination, not just political independence, but control of economic affairs. We encourage Africa to follow the model of what's going on in Burkina Faso, in Niger, in Mali, because those brothers are trying to reach full self-determination, meaning control of their economic development. And of course, even economic development includes cultural development, because whoever got the dollar controls your culture. Like in America, whoever has the dollar controls our culture of rap music, R&B music, etc. So even after their culture is being infringed upon because of their lack of economic power. So we encourage Africa to stand up to assert their full self-determination. We encourage Black people throughout America to stand up and assert their self-determination, full self-determination, starting with political independence. We got to declare our independence. We're right here on ground in Detroit declaring our independence. I can't stay long, that's why I'm going real fast, but I want to give you all a view of actually what's happening here as we declare our independence. Can you all see the people?
Yes, we can see the people.
Yeah. Okay, I want to say a few words to people while y'all listen. Brothers and sisters, can y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me? Yeah, this thing is kind of weak. All right, I'm on an international Zoom right now. The whole world is watching Detroit, the whole world. Africa, Europe, all over America, South America, they're watching Detroit right now. We want the whole world to bear witness that starting in Detroit, Black America is declaring their independence and taking control over their cities. We're taking control of our lives. We're giving ourselves reparation because the government refuses to give us reparations. Right here in Detroit, I hope the people on this Zoom are witnessing the people in Detroit. We're not here to play any games. We're not here to play any popularity contests of whose organization is the best, who has the most members. We're here to empower the people. We assembled you all to give you power, not to come to our church, to our organization, give us your money and give us power, but to give you power. That's what you are lined up right here now doing. You're signing a referendum. Most of you all right here already signed the referendum for Black independence of Detroit so that we can control the assets of the city. Mainly, we're in a humanitarian crisis all over Black America. All over Black America, this is a humanitarian crisis. So we're engaged in a humanitarian intervention. We're intervening to stop the crisis that was caused by the government. We all know the crisis that was in Detroit. That's why you're here. The housing crisis is the main crisis. So we're here to correct that. I know you all have been waiting here for long. Thousands of people out here been waiting for hours, so we're getting this done as quick as possible. I just wanted the people around the world to witness you, to see the people standing up to be in power. We're waving at the people. The whole world is watching. The whole world is watching. We're broadcast all over the world. Millions of people are watching. So we want to put on a good empowerment, not just a show of empowerment, but we're going to leave here house owners. We're going to leave here in control of Detroit. We control Detroit. Who wants to control Detroit? Who wants houses? Everybody does. That's what you're here for. We're sick and tired of being sick and tired. We don't want to be poor no more. We need reparations. They owe us. We didn't ask to be in this condition. They put us in this condition. So we're going to take ourselves out of the condition. It's called the right of self-determination. We're determining today in Detroit. Detroit, bad boys, whatever they want to call you off, but you all the good people today. You all setting the pace for the rest of the world, for the rest of Black America. So tap yourself on the back, clap for yourself, because you all are doing a good service for the rest of America. We're showing America how this is done, how you stand up and take power lawfully. This is the law. This is not seditious. This is how you take power. It's called the right of self-determination. We here today as Afro-descendants, not asking to be in this condition that we are in, been put in this condition, we declare our independence. Who wants independence from what's going on? Who wants independence? Raise your hand if you want independence. I think everybody wants independence. So that's what we're doing here today. We're taking independent control. Now this city belongs to us, to the Afro-descendants. It doesn't belong to Duggan, doesn't belong to the city council, doesn't belong to the police chief. Matter of fact, we're organizing a new police force in this city. And if the police people who work now, you want to work for us, you can quit the police force, take off your uniforms, come on over here with us. Or take off your badge and come on over here with us. Yeah, there's many police right there. They're out here to cause trouble. They're right there. Come join us, police force. You got training. We need you on our team. The Black ones, not the white racists who came in just to victimize Black people, but the Black ones. All right, everybody, we're going to continue with this event. Everybody be patient. It's thousands of us out here, but everybody's going to be empowered. This is a day of power. Rome wasn't built in a day, as they say, so we're not going to be empowered in 1 hour. It might take a couple hours, a few hours for us to be empowered. But we're going to have power, and we're going to have some houses today.
Being in Rome.
No, we're not in Rome. Rome. We're going to establish have some power like Rome, even more power than Rome, my brother. All right, everyone on the Zoom. I'm not going to keep you all waiting. But anyway, I just wanted to show the whole world, show the people of Detroit that you all was, we can go off now. Be patient, everybody. Bear with it. Thank you. Thank you all. Anyway, can y'all hear me on
Yes,
Zoom?
thank you, comrade. Peace and
All
blessings.
right,
And
everybody. Love you all. We got to get to work here. So
on.
y'all hear more from us later on. Love you all. Salute. Black Summer, Black Independence Day. Salute.
Salute. Okay. All right. Thank you. So we're gonna kick off the meeting by introducing the delegation that's here on the ground in Burkina Faso, the Friends of President Ibrahim Traore in the West, which was founded by attorney Malik Zulu Shabazz. And our delegation leader is sitting right next to me. And I want you to come over a little bit closer here so you can get better in the screen. And he is from the Black Panther movement and the lead of our delegation. He's been our fearless leader all week. We've been here on the ground now for 12 days, and we've got a lot accomplished. So delegation leader Mamoja Ajabu, tell us about, from your perspective, our experience here for the last week, 12 days.
Thank you for that introduction. I am actually wearing a couple of hats. I'm the Pan-African Director for the Black Panther movement and also Vice President of the Friends of Ibrahim Traore of the West. We're here because the Vice President of the Friends of Ibrahim Traore of the West, the Honorable Malik Zulu Shabazz. In all of the meetings that we have had here, we want to say that we're grateful to the president and the government for welcoming us. We have met with the administration almost to the top. We've gone to the second in charge, to the prime minister. But we want to go to the top and say thank you to President Ibrahim Traore. We want to say thank you to President of Niger. We want to say thank you to the President of Mali for being the beacon, and I should mention their names, General Assimi Goita and President Abdul Rahmani Chiani. We want to say thank you for showing us the beacon of light that is shining itself around the world. When we look at the history of these three men, all three men are Muslim. All three men have decided it's time for the natural resources and the people of Africa to take our rightful place. And when they stood up and came together, it is noticeable that they didn't come together as Muslims, even though they are. They came together as Pan-Africans, as people who said that it is time for Africa to be controlled by the people of Africa for the benefit of Africa. In this delegation, of which I am the leader, we have people that think differently, all kinds of ways. We have Afro-descendants. We have Pan-Africans. We have Christians. We have Muslims. We might even have a brother that don't even believe in the Supreme Being. But what we have in common is that we believe and are working toward the unification of Africa so that Africa is for the benefit of Africans. When the Sahel Alliance was formed, it sent fear through the Western world. And so it sent fear because we got to understand what is a Pan-African. Who is a Pan-African? A Pan-African doesn't care what your religion is. A Pan and it respects your religion, but it doesn't care where you was born, and it respects where you were born. But what it cares for is, do you think about the African continent, what God gifted us? Do you think that African continent should be controlled by Africans for the benefit of Africa? And these mighty men, these three mighty men, have taken the reins of power in their individual states, and they said, okay, we're not going to organize around our differences. We're going to organize around what we have in common. And what we have in common is that we want to control the land. It's all about the land. Now the West said, oh no, they're waking up. They don't want to let us continue to steal. And because they don't want us to continue to steal, we got to wage a psychological war to where that they will be afraid to be free. And so right now, the State Department in April put out a statement that you shouldn't travel to Burkina Faso. There's terrorism in the streets. People are getting shot. The most terrorism in the world is right here in Burkina Faso. Well, I'm here and the delegation is here to let you know that couldn't be further from the truth. We've gone all over the city. We've gone into the clubs. We're gone into the restaurant. We've traveled the streets. And I feel safer here in Burkina Faso than I feel in Indianapolis on 42nd and Post. And for you that are in Indianapolis, you know 42nd and Post. We are struggling to be free. And we are supporting the government that is at the forefront to be free. We have been welcomed. We feel welcome. And we feel at home. We have to take our rightful place in the world order of things. And the leadership of the future of Africans around the world is located right here in the Sahel. In the words of Marcus Garvey, up, you mighty people, accomplish what you will. And in the words of one of our delegation, the Honorable Mukasa Dada, who was there in Alabama, and he coined the phrase, Black Power, Black Power. Black Power. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Elder Adabu. Next, I want to bring on our attorney, Harriet Abubakar, who is lead counsel of the Afro-Descendant Nation. And she is a pioneer in the reparations and self-determination movement, and especially on an international level. Since the early 1990s. Now, she holds a Juris Doctorate from UCLA School of Law, and she studied at the American University in Cairo. She's also the former president of the Georgia Association of Black Women Attorneys and served as lead attorney for All for Reparations and Emancipation NGO. Let's welcome Attorney Harriet Abubakar, and I'm going to have you scoot over just a little more.
Thank you very much, Dr. Brown. Again, I am Harriet Abubakar, and I'm part of this delegation proudly. And I say to our listening audience, hello, salamu alaikum to our Muslims. And I'm very happy to be here. It's been exciting being here because We know how things are done in the West, and we know some of the stories that have been floating around about Burkina Faso and the Sahel region. This is the type of thing that the West does to make us alienated from our own people. It's always the divide and conquer system that they use. And they promise money, they promise power uh, to those who will do their bidding. I heard recently that President Trump has already started the routine. He wants to meet with certain African presidents. And we are here on a fact-finding mission. We want to find out just what is going on in Burkina Faso. And that's what we're in the process of doing. I don't want to repeat too much of what has already been said by my former elder, he did a wonderful job, much more fiery than I am. But since we've gotten here, we have been escorted from one part of the government structure to another and treated with dignity and respect and made to feel very at home and welcome. And I cannot thank them enough for making us feel that way, because we don't feel that way in the United States. This Afro-descendant nation part of the delegation, we're going to talk more about it later on in the program, because as Brother said, we are here with many mindsets. And one of those mindsets has to deal with our being Afro-descendants. So a lot of you in the listening audience might wonder, what's an Afro-descendant? That's something new to me. Well, we intend on explaining some of that later on to you. So stay tuned and keep listening so that you can learn the difference between an Afro-descendant, an African, and an Afro-Cuban, and know that we all have similar situations, similar problems, and we must come together to help each other. Because with a united Afro-descendant front, we have 250 million more people scattered throughout this 19th country diaspora that chose this word Afro-descendant and had it backed up and accepted by the United Nations back in the 90s and early 2000s. So continue to listen to the program, and later on, you're going to get a little more on that particular subject. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Harriet Abubakar. Now, I know everybody sees my name there. I want to change it to Friends of Ibrahim, President Traore. But we're just all here together in one room at Ambassadors Hall. So we're just switching seats and sharing the same camera. So next I want to welcome a veteran of the Black Panther movement and Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee called SNCC, who popularized the phrase Black Power. And he worked alongside Kwame Ture and many other legends in the movement. Please welcome Baba Mukasa Riggs.
Thank you, Africans. Thank you.
That's not working.
Thank you, Africans. Thank you very much. And I would like to definitely thank Brother Zulu and the New Black Panther Party for making this meeting possible. I'm here with the delegation that they put together. And also, I would definitely like to thank the Black Panther movement for being a part of the Pan-Africanist movement. And Pan-Africanist movement, as we defined it, as Kwame Nkrumah defined it, and Sekou Touré, and Modibo Keïta, and Muammar Gaddafi, and of course, it has socialism in it. as in Fidel Castro and all the socialists of the world, the total liberation and unification of Africa under an all-African socialist government must be the primary objective of all Black revolutionaries throughout the world. So we're fighting for one unified socialist Africa, one government, one army, one ideology, and we are one people. And as we talk, we're here not just for Burkina Faso. The independence of Burkina Faso is meaningless unless it's linked to the independence of all of Africa. As we talk now, the neo-colonials has been called to Washington for a meeting. And there are 4, 5, 6 African nations headed to Washington to sit down and be castrated by Trump and the rest of them, and to be able to send troops and to come here and continue to rob Africa of its natural resources and to enslave the people. Otherwise, I'm saying that we're involved in a revolution. And wherever there's revolution, there's counter-revolution. So Burkina Faso will have to fight along with Africa. Because until Africa is free, until Africa is liberated, until we drive all the imperialists and colonialists and neo-colonialists off our land, we are not free and we are under threat. So remember, Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso, we are very happy to be in a liberated zone, and we must, the reason we're here, we come to protect the liberated zone, but we want more liberated zone. We want every inch of Africa to be free. And that I'm happy that we have a day of solidarity, and every year on May 25th, Kwame Nkrumah put together African Liberation Day. And everywhere you are now, I want everybody to organize African Liberation Day on May 25th and talk about Pan-Africanism, one unified socialist Africa, one nation. And if you live, it don't matter where you live in the world, you belong to Africa. And you must fight wherever you are in the world, but your primary objective must be to liberate Africa, because you'll never be free no matter where you are until Africa is free and liberated. And again, I want to say that scientific socialism must be the objective of all revolutionaries. If you're a Pan-Africanist, you must be a socialist. Socialism is the economic system of the revolution. It's the economic system of liberation. And therefore, we thank Hugo Chavez. We thank Fidel Castro. We thank Kwame Nkrumah and Sekou Touré. We thank Mao Zedong. We thank Putin, and we thank Russia for playing a role in Africa's liberation. And we thank all the liberation movements and all the brothers and sisters that's struggling in the world. So again, I say to you, Africa must be free. Africa must unite. Long live the African Revolution. Long live Fidel Castro. Long live Kwame Nkrumah. Long live Sekou Touré. Long live the AAPRP and all revolutionary organizations in the world. Black power to all African people.
Black power. Thank you. So every day since we've been here, we've heard that powerful message, and it resonates with everyone. So next, we're going to bring on our youth of our delegation. She is a fiery, powerful speaker. She is representing youth from all over Africa and the United States. So I'm going to let her speak for herself, because she speaks for herself very, very well. I'm going to bring on Sister Olimata Tall, and we just call her Oli. Oli, have the floor.
Greetings. What's going on here?
Yeah, you have to turn your speaker off. Or just turn it off. Okay.
All right. Greetings to everybody. Sorry about that malfunction. It's a privilege and an honor to be here in Burkina Faso these past 2 weeks, I should say. We've been making history, and we're on the brink of history. it is a beautiful country. And one thing that I have to say is the young people are very cultured. Even the way they dress. I haven't seen a lot of weaves around. I've seen a lot of people with natural hair. And that says a lot. It says a lot about how they think. I've been seeing a lot of them wear African clothes. One thing that we found out while we've been here is that 84% of Burkina Faso is illiterate. And if you understand that, according to statistics, Africa is made up of 77% young people, which means that we have to really begin to invest more in the young people, whether it's through education, whether it's through trainings, whether it's through building more institutions for our young people and opportunities for our young people to grow, political education. Propaganda has been working in many ways through music, through television. And that is something that we've got to be able to take a little bit more control of, which is how we share the message to our youth, whether it's through music, whether it's through television, which means that our artists have to be a reflection of the movement. Our movies have to be a reflection of the movement, because this is what builds culture and this is what pushes culture. Again, I'm very, very impressed. One of the things that we learned when we were having a meeting with the Minister of Education was that they're getting ready to change the whole curriculum of education here. And they're not the only ones doing that. You have other countries throughout the world that have continued, who are now looking towards an African-centered curriculum. I mean, we cannot continue to have schools that still teach young people that Christopher Columbus discovered America when we all know that he was lost. As a matter of fact, we learned about a brother by the name of Mansa, not Mansa Musa, Mansa Abubakar, I believe his last name was, who traveled to the Americas in the 6th century, over 400 and something, over 1,200 years before Christopher Columbus was even thought about. And not only that, if you read books like from the great Ivan van Sertimer or Dr. John Henry Clark, Dr. Ben Buchanan, and other great writers and historians, you will learn that African people have been traveling the globe for thousands and thousands and thousands of centuries. If we just go back and just look at the history, we will see that the oldest bones of mankind were women, and they were found in Tanzania, 3.1 million years old, and 3.6 million years old in Ethiopia. One was on the cover of Time magazine. They called her Lucy, and the other one was called Salam. And all of these old bones were found right here in Africa. So we have everything in Africa that we need to equip our youth for the future. One of the other things that we've got to begin to do is build more bridges between the diaspora and Africa. As a Pan-Africanist, we have to continue to build bridges, have exchange programs. We have brought thousands of young people from the United States through different organizations to Africa since 1994, and we've got to continue to do that. As a result of these trips, many young African leaders and youth and organizers have moved to Africa, or have married African women or African men, and now have families here in Africa. So Africa, the future of Africa is very, very great, and I'm very proud to be a part of this movement. One of the things that we learned when we were in our meeting with the president of the Sahel, he said that we were the shield of President Ibrahim Traore. And I want to remind us in the West that we are the shield, not just of President Ibrahim Traore, but we are the shield of the movement. We have to continue to fight for our people. We have to continue to stand up for our people. We have to continue to be there for each other. We have to stop the disunification based on ideological lines and come together on the things that we have common, on the things that we have in common. And so I charge us today, as different organizations representing different people from all over the globe, that we continue to unite over those things that we have in common, which is to unite Africa, which is to unite Africans from the diaspora with the continent of Africa, and to continue to build those bridges. Being poor in Africa and being poor in the West are two different types of poverty. Being poor in a first world country and being poor in a third world country. So we have to understand that we may have access to resources that our people out here on the continent may need. Like we were told in one of the meetings with the education minister of primary that they need help with printing books for their children. Those are things that we can help. They want to feed the children because of the war in distant years. They had to close 5,400 schools. It's just recently that some of those schools have been reopened. And one of the ways that they want to keep the children in school is to be able to feed the children. If you look at the Black Panther Party in the 60s and other organizations, including the organization I was a part of in college called Students for All African Empowerment, when we had our Saturday children's breakfast tables where we taught them Black history, we fed the children. And so this is what Burkina Faso wants to do. They want to put gardens in all of the schools in Burkina Faso where they teach the children about farming, but use the food that is being grown in those farms to feed the children so the children will be able to learn. You cannot teach children if the children are hungry. So that is something that we want support with. We're going to need help to build boreholes in a lot of these communities because a lot of these communities don't have water. I live in the Gambia, and water is one of our biggest problems. Sometimes the water can be off for hours. The same way electricity is one of our biggest problems. It does not make sense to me that Germany, which has barely any sun, is run on solar. And here we have Africa that has all this sun right by the equator, and most of our countries are not using solar. So these are the things that we have to do as African people. Use the resources that the Creator, that the Most High Divine Mother, Father God has given us to empower ourselves. I also want to say that the young people are the fire and the fuel of the revolution. As a student of Baba Kwame Ture, Stokely Carmichael, and Baba Mukasa Ricks, and Dr. Khalid Muhammad, and so many other teachers that I have been mentored by, they said that it is the youth who are the future and the youth who fuel the revolution because the youth don't get tired. And sometimes the elders will get tired, or sometimes the elders will move on in the spirit world or transition. So we have to make sure we plant the seeds in our young people and that we train the seeds and that we don't try to take leadership all the time, that we share the leadership with the young people and pass on the baton, because when you don't pass on the baton gets taken. And instead of having to go back and forth, it's better to have intergenerational leadership between the elders, the young elders, who I call yelders, and the youth. I'm no longer a youth. I call myself a yelder, a young elder. So in closing, I just want to say I'm very, very happy to be in Burkina Faso. I want to thank Attorney Malik Zula Shabazz for his vision and sending us here on the ground to find out really what is happening in Burkina Faso. And I want to tell y'all, it's a beautiful country. I spoke yesterday in a meeting with the prime minister representing the group. And I told them, if Gambia is the smallest country on the continent, well, Burkina Faso must be Gambia's New York, because there is so much development going on here. And so I want to to appeal to my sisters and brothers to come and visit Burkina Faso and come and visit Gambia, come and visit Nigeria, Soweto, South Africa, come and visit and build the bridges of Africa, and to remember that we are African people. Like Malcolm said, if a cat has kittens in the oven, does that make them biscuits? So no matter where in the globe we are, African people must unite. African people must fight for justice, must stand up for what is right, and definitely stand up for President Ibrahim Traore. Thank you.
Thank you, Sister Oli. I told you she could speak very well for herself and representing our youth. Thank you so much. So our last member of the delegation here on the ground is Brother Safiwe Balika. He is our special envoy to Burkina Faso, and he was with us here for the whole first week, but he's back in Guinea-Bissau now, but he is also acting as co-moderator. So I'm going to bring him on in just a minute. He holds key leadership positions in the reparations movement, the Pan-African movement, and the lineage restoration movement. Has been representing the new African and Afro-descendant peoples in various international arenas, including the African Union, the United Nations, and Pan-African conferences and legal forums. So without further ado, let me highlight you, and there you are. I'm gonna try to get rid of my pen and turn it over to you. There you are.
Okay, all right. Thank you, and revolutionary Pan-African greetings to all our comrades all over the world, especially our new African comrades, our Afro-descendant comrades, our Pan-Africanists everywhere. You know, we are gathered today on July 4th for a specific reason. We are uniting all the forces that are struggling against a common enemy, which is neocolonialism and imperialism. July 4th is the day that the leading power, the leading neocolonial imperialist power, spreads a lie to the whole world and says, this is the day when the greatest nation was set up, and it was based on the concept of government by consent of the people. Well, guess what? From that first ship carrying our ancestors who were prisoners of a war, we have never consented to this government. We have resisted. We resisted when they attacked us in our ancestral homelands. We resisted when they forced us onto their military ships to traffic us across the Atlantic Ocean. We resisted from the day that we disembarked in the land of our captivity, and we have never stopped resisting. We've never said or been given the choice whether or not we want to be a part of this government. So we're gathered on this day, right? Those of us in the United States, as Brother Ramzu in Detroit is leading us, to say, look, there are African people, descendants of those African prisoners of war, who are fighting the same struggle as the Africans who are fighting in the Sahel region, who are fighting in Kenya, who are fighting in Togo. It's all one struggle. And we are standing up and saying, we don't consent to be governed. We have the right to self-determination. Just like the Burkinabe people, the Nigerian people, the Malian people, and African people everywhere on the continent. Now, when the United States, through its former AFRICOM commander, General Langley, targeted President Ibrahim Traore, we, the self-determinationists, the Afro-descendant people, the new African people, the Pan-Africanists in the United States, in the Caribbean, in Europe, we stood up and said, hands off President Traore. We will not we will never again let another Malcolm, another Thomas Sankara, another Lumumba, another Gaddafi. We stood up and we became the shield. Just as we did during the anti-apartheid struggle in South Africa, and just like we have always done for the liberation movements on the African continent. Today, we are grateful and honored that the Burkinabe people and Pan-Africanists are joining us as we stand up in the United States and declare our right to self-determination, our right to decide if we're going to return to our ancestral homelands, our right to decide if we're going to establish nations and governments of our own where we reside, our right to determine if we want to integrate into America or if we want to go somewhere else. Today is a day about uniting all of the African people globally under the right of self-determination. And it's an honor to be part of this delegation and be part of this movement today and part of Black Summer 2025. With that said, I'd like to invite our first solidarity speaker. He is brother and comrade Kwame Gonza, who, if you are in the Pan-African world and networks, you know he is a prolific political analyst on all the situations on the continent. He's appeared on South African TV, he's been on Ghana TV, he's been on Ethiopia TV. He is one of our astute political minds. So it's my honor and my privilege to give you 3 minutes, Kwame, to go ahead and address all of us. Thank you. And unmute your mic.
Yes, thank you so much, Brother Sifiwe. And thank you so much for all the organizers. Indeed, this is a timely, a conference or a seminar. The organizing is indeed timely, and it is not just timely because I'm saying it, but because many other big people across the world, have been saying this. And I refer to President Xi Jinping's visit to Moscow a time ago. When he was leaving Moscow, he told the President Putin that the changes we are seeing today have never happened in 100 years, in a century. So with that being said, I would like to appreciate the Afro descendants or people of African descent who are going ahead, who are continuing to organize the African people all over the globe. But this is not in itself the first of its kind. All through history of our struggle as Africans, it is the diaspora who had been at the steering of organizing and bringing this consciousness to, all Africans across the globe to fight, because they were in the midst of the heat and they understood, the nature of the enemy and what he was capable of doing. So I believe that if it wasn't for the African descendants or people of African descent, we would be in a much worse, position as Africans. So with that being said, I want to thank you for what you have continued to do, and I pray that you continue, to push in this direction. One of the mistakes I believe that the African heads of state or whatever leader has come on the continent has done, and why the continent has remained where it is because of the exclusion of people of African descent and looking at them as by the way, all right, and say, okay, let's include them. The African Union has been formed. Now let us include the sixth region as a by the way. So I believe that has been a great mistake on the side of the African heads of state, and that's why the continent is not moving forward. And the African descendants themselves, I believe that they understand that they are part of this continent, and you need to continue to do that, because if someone excludes you from your right, you don't sit back, you continue to push forward, you continue to assert your right, because this continent belongs to all of us. And anyone who makes a mistake of thinking that Africans on the continent are different from those ones who are outside the continent, regardless of whatever names they give them, or Jamaicans or whatever it is, These are African people, and that has to be understood clearly. And any mistake, anyone who does a mistake of, doing away with them or neglecting them or eliminating them from the right of inheriting the continent, which they have fought for the last 500 years, 600 years. I mean, that is where I believe that, we may err, and we are erring that the continent is not being going forward. So I just want to recognize.
Comrade, yes, as you wrap up, I forgot to mention the African Continental Unity Party. So in 30 more seconds, please include what that's all about.
Yes, so thank you so much. Thank you so much for helping to do that. Now, the African Continental Unity Party, the organization I belong to, is engaged in that struggle. Currently, is focused on the African continent, and major focus is currently in Ghana. We are in grassroots mobilization. We believe that we have to take power by, we have to take political power, right? And we have been involved in reaching out even to governments like Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger. We have been to their embassies. We are organizing, so we welcome all these organizations that you are engaged in. The collaboration has to continue, regardless of the differences that we have as a people, on the continent and across the Atlantic. The organization cannot stop. It has to be pushed forward, regardless of the differences, regardless of what people say, or Africans on the continent, they don't like, Africans on the other side. All these noise has to be cut through. That organization has to be consistent. It has to continue to move forward. So the African Continental Unity Party is in that spirit. We believe that we have to take power, regardless of whatever means. We believe that we have to participate in one way or another to take power and put some form of Pan-African government, but at the same time cooperating with all the other Pan-African governments across the continent and groups. So that's what we are focused on. And one of the projects that I've pioneered is called the African Railway Triangle Network Master Plan, which I'm pushing forward. And we have registered even a company in Accra called Century Rail, that we are envisioning that even if we take power as Pan-Africanists, we need to protect the continent. But if you are talking about protecting the continent without a railway platform on the continent, which will transport, whatever it is, whether it's goods, whether it is the soldiers themselves want to move them from, from the west to the east, from the south to the north, to fight against the enemy, you need a railway platform. So we believe that using the current systems that are there, we can coerce, we can find a way, because we know that even in the Cuban Revolution, the Castros, they used to go and take guns and steal guns from the enemy and use them. So we could play around that same tactic. We have a railway network that we are promoting, and we think that within the current framework, we can dupe them. We can find a way of bamboozling them to build this platform, but when they are building their own grave, all right, in one way or another, that this platform can at the same time be used to, to pacify the whole continent for us. So I believe that we are in that direction. So without a railway platform on the African continent, like what happened even in the United States, that before they put the transcontinental.
Comrade Kwame, listen, that project, right, that you have is so important, because you're not just talking, rhetoric, you're talking about the infrastructure that's going to bring about the African Renaissance that we want. We really look forward to working with you, the African Continental Unity Party, as we go forward. We really appreciate your solidarity statement. As you know, we've got a big lineup with lots of people that are coming on. So I just want to, again, say thank you for the solidarity. And this is just the beginning of us working in alignment. There you go. We see the rail project. I encourage everybody to connect with Kwame, connect with the African Continental Unity Party to find out about this project and support it. Thank you, Comrade Kwame. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Brother Sekou.
Give thanks. Now, let's remember, before I bring on the next speaker, let's remember Marcus Garvey and W.E.B. Du Bois went to the League of Nations to exercise our right of self-determination, and we were rejected. Then we had people like William Patterson and Paul Robeson in the We Charge Genocide. We went to the United Nations looking for justice. Following that, we had Dr. Y.N. Cly, and we had the Honorable Silas Muhammad, who did many interventions demanding that we get assistance from the United Nations, right, in our claim for self-determination. Then after that, at that same time period, I and others, we went to the African Union demanding the recognition of our right to return. And guess what? None of these organizations to this day, right, has really taken a stand, right, to support our righteous claim for self-determination. So we have learned from this, we can't depend on any of these so-called continental international bodies. This is something we have to do for ourselves. This is why we are aligning with the Alliance of Sahel States and President Ibrahim Traoré, because we see that they are leading the self-determination movement to say, we're not depending on foreigners anymore. We're breaking from foreign domination. We must do this ourselves. And so this is the message today on July 4th, on Black Summer Kickoff. It's all about recognizing nobody's going to do it for us. We have to unify and do it ourselves.
Okay, so we have Brother Atara Yayoba, and excuse me if I mispronounced your name. He is on the ground with us and has been our support every day since we've been here, and we appreciate everything that he's doing for us. He is the president of Faso First Patriotic Movement of Burkina Faso and Secretary General of the Board of Directors of the Confederation of the Peoples of the Alliance of the Sahel States. So he's going to go on right before Brother Pigeon, and I will change the screen here for you in just a moment. Okay, you have the floor. Thank you.
Bonjour, chers camarades, chers frères et sœurs de Burkina Faso, d'Afrique et de la diaspora. Je ne vais commencer et je ne vais prononcer mon propos sans vous demander une minute de silence à l'honneur de nos combattants tombés les armes à la main. Je voudrais rendre aussi un vibrant hommage. Je voudrais rendre aussi un vibrant hommage à nos forces de défense et de sécurité ainsi qu'à nos volontaires pour la défense de la patrie. En ces jours de mémoire, d'espoir et de fierté, nous levons le poing et la tête pour célébrer le jour de l'indépendance des Noirs, le jour où le passé rencontre l'avenir, le jour où l'Afrique appelle ses enfants et ses descendants dispersés à l'unité. Ici, sur cette terre du Burkina Faso, terre des hommes intègres, pays de Thomas Sankara et d'Ibrahim Traoré, nous savons ce qui signifie la dignité. Nous savons ce qui signifie la lutte légendaire. Et nous savons que la liberté ne se donne pas, elle s'arrache. Oui, ici même, un homme du nom de Thomas Sankara, en quelques années seulement, a réveillé les consciences, rendu espoir aux paysans, dignité aux femmes, courage à la jeunesse. Il a prouvé que l'Afrique pouvait se nourrir elle-même, se gouverner elle-même, s'aimer elle-même. Il a appelé avec beaucoup d'autres à l'unité des peuples africains et afro-descendants. Et aujourd'hui, le camarade capitaine Ibrahim Traoré a réveillé en nous ces révolutionnaires qui dormaient et nous portons cette flamme. Car notre histoire ne commence pas avec l'esclavage ni la colonisation, elle commence avec l'Afrique millénaire, les royaumes des Mosé, du Congo, du Mali, du Songhai, du Bénin, du Kemet et j'en passe. Mais cette histoire a été brisée, dispersée et étouffée. Des millions d'hommes, de femmes et d'enfants ont été arrachés sur cette terre, envoyés de force vers l'Amérique, les Caraïbes, l'Europe. Et malgré les chaînes, malgré les fouets, ils ont résisté. De Haïti à la Jamaïque, du Brésil aux États-Unis, les Afro-descendants ont combattu pour leur liberté et ont porté dans leur chant, dans leur lutte, le souvenir d'un continent qui ne les avait jamais quittés. Aujourd'hui, le Burkina Faso leur tend la main. Nous disons à nos frères de la diaspora, revenez, non pas comme des visiteurs, mais comme des bâtisseurs. Revenez, non pas pour le tourisme, mais pour la reconstruction. Car l'Afrique ne sera forte que si elle est unie de tous ses enfants, où qu'ils soient. Nous devons créer des ponts éducatifs, juridiques, économiques et culturels, et j'en passe, entre le Burkina Faso et la diaspora. Nous devons valoriser notre mémoire commune de l'esclavage au néocolonialisme, de la résistance à la libération. Lutter ensemble contre le néocolonialisme, le racisme systématique, l'exploitation de nos ressources et de nos corps. Nous sommes un même peuple avec des visages multiples. Un même peuple qui parle moré, djoula, créole, wolof, portugais, anglais, français et j'en passe, mais qui a le même battement de cœur, le même sang. Et à partir du Burkina Faso, terre de courage et de révolution, nous pouvons envoyer un message au monde entier. Les Noirs sont debout, l'Afrique se relève, la diaspora revient et ensemble, nous construirons notre avenir. Vive le Burkina Faso, révolutionnaire, progressiste et populaire. Vive la Confédération des États du Sahel, AES. Vive la Confédération des peuples de l'AES, CPAES. Vive l'Union des peuples africains et afro-descendants. Vive l'indépendance des Noirs conquise et assumée. Vive le capitaine Ibrahim Traoré, la patrie ou la mort, nous vaincrons. Je vous remercie.
Stay. Okay, we're going to have a translation now. Thank you.
Comrade, dear brothers and sisters from Burkina Faso, from Africa and from the African diaspora, I wouldn't start my speech without asking for 1 minute of silence for all our brothers and sisters fighting for the liberation of our nation, those who paid the biggest, the heavy and price for this by giving their lives for the liberation of our country. Before starting, I would like to pay a vibrant tribute to our armed forces, our forces of our armed forces and our security forces and all our VDP, the voluntary people fighting for our country. In this memorable day, we are very proud and we are raising our hands, our fists up to celebrate the independence of the Black people, the day where the past meets the future, the day where Africa calls its children and its Afro descendants to the unity. Here in Burkina Faso, on the soil of Burkina Faso, on the soil of the upright people, on the soil of President Thomas Sankara and the President Ibrahim Traore, we are calling, we know what dignity stands for. We know what dignity means. And we know what the fight, our legendary fight for our dignity means. And we know that freedom is never given. You must take it. Yes, here a man named Thomas Sankara, only in few years, were able to enlighten the minds and give hope to the farmer and give dignity to the ladies and give courage to the youth. He proved that Africa is able to nurture itself. Africa is able to govern itself. Africa is able to love itself. President Thomas Sankara called with many other presidents to the unity of the African people and the unity of the Afro descendants. And today, the comrade, Captain Ibrahim Traore, had enlightened in us this revolutionary flame that were actually sleeping in all of us. And today we have the duty to write our story, to make history by fighting slavery and fighting colonization. And we have also the right to write our African long story that kingdoms like the kingdoms of Mose and kingdom of Kong and kingdom of Mali, kingdom of Songhai, kingdom of Benin and kingdom of Kemet were doing a very long time before. And in this day, we have broken the shackles, we have broken the chains that were blocking us, that were blocking us from millions of African men and millions of African ladies, millions of African children to come together as one. And today, we are sending a vibrant and strong message towards America, toward the Caribbeans, and towards Europe. And despite the chains, despite the shackles, despite all the lashes, we have resisted. From Haiti to Jamaica, from Brazil to the United States, the Afro descendants have fought for their freedom. They have fought for their liberty, and they have fought for they have fought for the freedom, and they have fought for the liberty, and they have fought for the right to sing, the right to fight, the right to sustain a continent that has never left them. Today, Burkina Faso is paying a big and vibrant tribute to them. We are saying to our brothers in the diaspora, come back to Africa, not only for tourism and not only for as visitors, but to rebuild Africa, because Africa will only become strong through the unity of all its children, no matter where they are living. And as African, we must build some bridges of education we must also build some bridges, some economical bridges and some cultural bridges. And we know that Burkina Faso and the diaspora will be able to do that. We must value our common history, and we must, this common history that starts from the time of slavery and the time of resistance to the time of liberation. We must fight together against the neocolonialism, the racism, the systematic racism, and the exploitation of our resources, of our natural resources and our bodies. We are only one people with different faces. We are one people speaking Maori, Diola, Creole, Wolof, Portuguese, English, and French. We have the same heartbeat and we have the same blood. And from Burkina Faso, the land of courage and the land of revolution, we are sending a strong message to the whole world. Live Burkina Faso and the revolutionary and the progressive revolutionary and the progressive and popular revolutionary of the President Captain Ibrahim Traore. Live the Confederation of the Sahel states, and live the Confederation of the people of the IOS of the people of the Sahel states, CPIS, and also live the union of the people of Afro descendants, and live the independence of the African continent and the African and the President Ibrahim Traore. We are saying to close this speech, homeland or death, we must win, and we must vanquish, or we must win. And I thank you all.
I'm going to turn it back over to Brother Safiwe to bring on the next guest, which I believe was Brother Pigeon.
That's
didn't
correct. That's correct, Comrade Pigeon, right? We've already mentioned your accolades. We're honored to have you. Please unmute your microphone and give us your 3-minute solidarity statement.
Greetings, comrades. Hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's a pleasure and an honor to be in the midst of conscious Pan-Africans. Permit me, first of all, to send my solidarity, support, and message to Ibrahim Traore and the people of Burkina Faso. And my message goes to the people of Burkina Faso that you have done this before. You have liberated Burkina Faso before. You are doing it again. And we believe that you must defend that which you have attained. And it's not only to the people of Burkina Faso, the whole Black society and the community must help Burkina Faso for the last time to defend this revolution. The revolution must be maintained and must be defended. And again, I want to take this opportunity again also to appreciate and recognize the young people across the continent, including my country, Kenya, who are struggling and giving their life to this struggle. We have lost so many of my fellow comrades in this country called Kenya, struggling to fight to liberate this neo-colonial territory called Kenya. And therefore, my appreciation goes to them, and I have to give them the hope that we will win. We must win. Then finally, let me get back to my appreciation to the global diaspora and all Africans across the world, that whatever you are doing currently by standing with Burkina Faso is the right way to go, is what has been missing in the Pan-African journey for the last 63 years. And I believe that we must learn from the struggle for colonialism, when the whole Black community were ready to defend Africa. They helped in all means possible to help Africans get the so-called independence. And it's a high time that we must recognize that it's upon all of us, irrespective of the walk or where we are, to come back and help Africa attain what it must attain. Because when Africa is great, all Africans or all Black people will be great again. We will stand tall irrespective of where we are. And if we continue to be down, we will be down irrespective of where we are. Now, comrades, I will have to recommend and say the following, that what Burkina Faso has done is in the steps of Pan-African vision, what we call the liberation of a territory. Kwame Nkrumah referred to the liberation of a territory. And Burkina Faso has liberated the territory alongside the Sahel. And we must be conscious as Pan-African that in order for us to attain the unification of Africa, the liberation of Africa is fundamental. And you can see that if we want to fight for the liberation, unification, and development of Africa, the liberation is fundamental. The progress and the development that has been shown by Ibrahim Traore shows you that Africa can develop, Africa can be great, Africa can make it, but with a liberated mentality. And therefore, the liberation of Burkina Faso is a testament in this generation and this century that Africa indeed can liberate itself, and Africa indeed can unify. The unification step of Sahel is the true unification that our founding fathers envisioned. Not this unification of the regional and this other unification. The direction the Sahel is going is in accordance with Nkrumah's vision, because they are moving towards the unification of currency, unification of border, unification of passport, unification of everything. And that's what you want. But my message again will be that, as Nkrumah said, that the independence of Ghana is meaningless unless it's tied with the independence of the continent. It's a message to the progressive Sahel leaders that the liberation of Sahel will be meaningless unless it's tied with the liberation of the total continent. And therefore, it's upon them to play in this century the role Nkrumah and Ghana played to help us liberate the continent, to help us liberate Africa totally. And we are pleading and calling upon the progressive forces to join Sahel to help meet this. Because if one part is not liberated, there will be an enemy to bring the liberated territory down. And they've done it before. And that's why we must totally defend this revolution with all that it takes. And we must together liberate Africa. Because if we liberate Africa, we are attaining our unity and we are truly going to develop Africa, and that we can see. So thank you very much for this brief moment. Thank you.
Comrade Pigeon, thank you for that strong message. Dr. Baba Buntu, I believe he is joining us from South Africa. He is an education specialist. He is an expert in African-centered methodologies and decolonial practices. He's an activist scholar with Pan-African solutions and many more. He's got lots of videos on YouTube, so you can search him and find out and hear from him yourself. But right now, we are honored to bring on Dr. Baba Buntu.
Revolutionary greetings, Pan-Africans, Black Power to sisters and brothers around the African continent and the diaspora. Thank you so much for the very humbling introduction. It is indeed an honor to be part of this. It's indeed an honor to be part of this webinar. And we send our solidarity greetings to all Africans who are living for the revolution, for our collective freedom, and for the liberation of every African woman, man, and child. I am in Azania, and I want to bring very strong and revolutionary greetings from the people on the ground. I'm coming right out of a one-week learning program for African children, the African Winter School, which has been extremely inspiring. And I think in my support message to revolutionary Africans in all parts of the world, and as we stand with the Sahel Alliance and greatly inspired by what we see is happening in Burkina Faso, Niger, Mali, and a few other parts of the continent as well. I think we just want to remind our sisters and brothers around the world that many of us, in the way we fight, in the way we determine, in the way we engage with liberation and revolutionary work, you might not always be able to get how we operate and what we do through. I want to really emphasize the importance of both within the African. We need to compare notes. We need to sit much closer to each other. And we need to share how we implement the work that we do. In Azania, our organization is Ebukusini Solutions, which means royalty solutions. And we are very invested in the community. As I was saying, just coming out of African Winter School now, where we have guided children on a Pan-African journey, and it's been extremely inspiring. And I think this is my message also especially to the rest of the continent, the importance of impacting our children with Pan-African information, because as we know, around the continent, all of our children are being recolonized through education. Colonized education exists all across the continent, and we keep repeating lessons and misinformation from a very Eurocentric point of view. And it is up to us. It is only us that can provide the curriculum, the teaching philosophy, and the information that our children actually deserve to learn. It is an atrocity and it is a human crime, what our children are learning in our schools. And that's something we need to take responsibility for. The other thing I wanted to say is also the importance of us to understand the aftermath of white supremacist genocide. And when I say genocide, I don't only talk about the physical genocide and the maiming and the killing of people, which is a huge problem, but also the suicide on the soul, the suicide on the African mind, the suicide on our relationships and our ability to relate and cooperate and work together. And as I stand before you, Africans in the diaspora and Africans across the continent, I just want to encourage us to invest in us and leave the rest of the world for a while. As much as it wants us to be engaged with it, we cannot really engage with anyone outside of ourselves until we fully have engaged with ourselves. And let that be my main message to sisters and brothers all across the Pan-African world. Let us engage us, and deeply so. We need healing. We need a revolutionary apparatus to really liberate ourselves from what our European enemies and now other enemies of the world as well keep putting into our minds, our hearts, and our soul. And we can, and we must do that. Burkina Faso and a number of other countries are showing us the way, and we are willing to follow. Let us stand tall as African people across the world. We owe it to ourselves, and we owe it to each other. Black power.
Thank you, Dr. Baba Bunte. So Dr. Akila Mukaram is the president of the Afro-Descendant Nation. She is leading efforts to unite Afro-descendants with a focus on securing reparations, promoting unity, advocating for self-determination, and championing their recognition as a distinct and sovereign group. She is committed to the well-being and advancement of Afro-descendant populations, actively working towards the creation of a just and inclusive world where their identity, history, culture, and human rights are globally recognized and respected. Welcome, Dr. Akila.
Thank you, Dr. Tahita. Greetings to all Afro-descendants and Africans across the globe. Greetings of unity and purpose. It is an honor to come before you on this momentous Black Independence Day, uniting under one Africa, including Afro-descendants. As president of the Afro-Descendant Nation, I speak to our distinct journey within this broader unity. This gathering is a testament to our enduring spirit and shared commitment to liberation and self-determination. Today marks a profound moment in our nation's journey. As a growing nation of Afro-descendants, standing at a critical point in our shared destiny, I formally deliver a presidential proclamation on the definitive identity of the Afro-descendant nation. By the authority vested in me as president of the Afro-descendant nation, I hereby proclaim the Afro-descendant nation belongs to all Afro-descendant peoples. We are united not by a single religion or ideology, but by a shared heritage, struggle, and vision for self-determined prosperity. No one shall be marginalized due to their beliefs. Let us understand the profound significance of every word. The Afro-descendant nation belongs to all Afro-descendant peoples means our embrace knows no bounds of geography or lineage. Your ancestral connection, whether easily traced or disrupted, binds us. If you are Afro-descendant of Afro-descendant heritage, meaning descendants of enslaved Africans, the Afro-descendant nation is yours. We are not united by a single religion or ideology, but by a shared heritage, struggle, and vision for self-determined prosperity. Our strength lies in our magnificent diversity. Our unity is forged through resilience and a shared vision. All forms of identity are welcome, regardless of religion, ideology, gender, ethnicity, age, or national origin. Your unique contributions are valued. The solemn pledge, no one shall be marginalized due to their beliefs. We build a society where respectful dialogue, freedom, and autonomy are cherished, supporting our nation's safety, unity, and mission. This proclamation is a living compass for our journey. It calls upon every Afro-descendant to embody these principles daily, understand one another, build bridges, and amplify all voices. Our economic empowerment through concrete initiatives and collective contributions will fund the infrastructure and diplomatic outreach necessary for our sovereignty. Let no external force or internal division undermine this sacred commitment. As we celebrate Black Independence Day, we make a clear call to the global community. My fellow Afro-descendants, our diversity is our greatest power. Our varied experiences and talents make us stronger, more resilient, and innovative. The Afro-descendant nation belongs to all of us. We will build it together, guided by integrity and justice, rooted in unity and free from division. Let the world bear witness to who we are, a sovereign people of dignity, vision, and unstoppable love for our future. We ask that President Ibrahim Traore recognize us as Afro-descendant peoples and ultimately recognize the Afro-descendant nation government. May our ancestors' strength guide us forward. Thank you.
And next, we're going to bring on a very powerful brother in the reparations movement, Rashad Singleton. Rashad, are you there? Can you turn your camera on?
I think it's on.
There
Can
you
y'all
go.
see
We
me?
can see you.
Can anybody
Yes,
see
we
me?
can.
Can you see
Yeah, we
me?
can see
Okay,
you.
Okay.
fine.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Peace and blessings, family. Peace and blessings. Shalom. All praise to the Most High. It is an honor to absolutely be with you today. Want to give honor to the Honorable Silas Muhammad, Queen Mother Harriet, of course, the Honorable Malik Zulu Shabazz, one of the greatest organizers in this modern day. And I'm just honored to be in the room, always grateful to do this work. Family, my name is Rashad Singleton. I am the president of the National Reparations League. And what we're trying to do is get reparations on a federal level. I'm so honored to hear people in the reparations movement on this call because we believe that in order for this country to even think about being the country it wants to be, that being the land of the free, home of the brave, then you have to deal with reparations. I wrote a book called The Hypocrisy of Democracy, trying to explain how can this be the land of the free if they won't pay reparations? How can this be the home of the brave if you're afraid to pay reparations? This is all hypocrisy. And we're not going to let them get away with it because we've seen them give reparations to so-called Jewish people. We've seen them give reparations to so-called some of the Native Americans. We've seen them give reparations to Japanese Americans. And we've seen them give reparations to the slave master themselves. We're not going to let them get away with this. And I'm honored to be joining some of the warriors today here on Black Independence Day, because that's what it's all about. Independence, true liberation, not the crumbs, not the pennies, but real independence. This is what we're talking about today. At the National Reparations League, we're trying to have representation in all 50 states because we have to put pressure on these people. And it's not being done by some of the politicians that claim to represent us. Our position is, if a politician is not for our reparations, what you voting for him for? If a business is not for our reparations, why should they get our Black money? So we developed something called the Reparation Report Card. And this database, you will be able to go to each and every state and you will see your politician's stance on reparations. Never mind them kissing the Black babies. Never mind them coming to your church right at election time. You know the game. I want to know how you feel about reparations. Where do I go to get this information? You come to the nationalreparationleague.com and you go to the Reparation Report Card. We're doing the work for you every day. We want this to be a tool that you use when it comes to vote. Because we get lost in white folks playing the saxophone and pulling hot sauce out their purse. We have to get to the issue, and that is reparations.
30 seconds, comrade.
For also, the problems that we have is everything is becoming a branch off of reparations. If we deal with reparations, we can deal with the other issues. As I look across this call and I see so many powerful people, I want us to understand something. Why do we need our colonizer? I've played basketball in Angola. I've traveled through Libya, played basketball in these countries. I realize we do not need this colonizer for anything. We should come out of this meeting with Black grocery stores and Black gas stations, just through this network alone.
Final word.
We have to create a trade amongst each other. We have to create a trade amongst each other between African Americans and our African brothers and sisters that do not involve the colonizer. Black power, Black power, Black power.
Thank you, Brother Rashad. Black power.
Now you're talking about an honor. This is the man that is the visionary that has brought all of this together worldwide. His vision has caused us to move forward as a Pan-African nation in one accord. His history precedes him. He studied under the great man, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And now those seeds have flourished towards that he is at the pinnacle of organizing us to go forward, to be free. I won't be long, but he will be strong. The Honorable Malik Zulu Shabazz, Black Power.
Oh, can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, we can.
Thank you so much. Bring me on, Brother Mintu, to the center screen, please. Thank you so much. Giving honor to God, I bear witness that regardless to land, label, or language, that there is but one God. Sisters and brothers, I'll get right down to business at this time. Okay. Giving thanks to every organization and every leader that has participated today. I am going to thank our guests and our allies. I am going to summarize our great mission from our delegation that is in Burkina Faso right now. I'm going to speak on our declaration of unity and building a united front. It won't be long, but I must be strong. It's not easy bringing Black leaders and Black people from the French-speaking world and the English-speaking world together. White man has speaking white colonist language. This is the first time that such a large group of French-speaking leaders and English-speaking leaders of Black people have gotten together like this. Please accept our apologies. We shall not retreat. I want to thank the government of Burkina Faso under our leader, His Excellency, the Honorable Ibrahim Traoré. We began, myself and Elder Momoja Ajabu. We began in late May when we went to the Burkina Faso embassy in Washington, D.C. We went because we were inspired by the revolutionary work of President Ibrahim Traoré and the other government leaders in the Sahel Alliance of States. Since our visit at the embassy, we have put forth every effort that we can to build the bond between Burkina Faso, Pan-Africanists, and Black people in the West who are called Afro-descendants. We have not come to waste your time today. We come in the name of Dr. Khalid Mohammed, my teacher. I speak to you in the name of the Honorable Silas Mohammed, the founder and leader of the Afro-descendant nation in the West. I want to thank Brother Saloma Bazier, who is the representative in Burkina Faso of the Alliance of Sahel States. Victory to President Abdul Rahman Tissani, the leader of Niger. Victory to President Assimi Goïta, the leader of Mali. We have declared that we will do all that we can to support the revolution that is taking place in the Sahel states, and we will not retreat in that regard. I want to thank the leader of the delegation in Burkina Faso, Pan-African director of the Black Panther movement, Elder Momoja Ajabu. I want to thank Sifiwe Aleka, my comrade in this struggle, and I thank him for all he has done to bring this day about. Sister Tahita, to Brother Watora Hayoba, honors to you. Honors to all of our guests, and specifically to Queen Shanta of the nation of Sharu. If she has not spoken, she will be speaking in this program. To the ADDI, the African Diaspora Development Institute, under the leadership of Dr. Arakana, Brother Philip. Greetings to ADDI. Greetings to EFF, the Economic Freedom Fighters from South Africa, under the leadership of President Julius Malema. To Mr. Juma Faye, Mr. Juma Faye, greetings to you, honors to you, and looking forward to hearing from you today. To my great brother, PLO Lumumba, it is an honor to hear from you today, one of the greatest scholars coming out of the continent of Africa. It is an honor. We are Pan-Africanists and Afro-descendants. We are Black people all over this planet who have come together today, not just to talk, but to complete the liberation goal that we have yet to accomplish over all of these years. To my brother, Kimi Siba, the great activist and speaker in the French-speaking world. Greetings to my brother, Kimi Siba. Kimi is on travel, leaving from the Congo. He will not be live, but we will hear his great speech from that conference. Webcast represents our effort to bring the best leadership that we have in the Black world together so we can complete the mission that President Traore has inspired us to in this hour. Our delegation right now is at the Foreign Affairs Ministry inside of Burkina Faso. Friends of Traore, the Afro-descendant nation, the Black Panther movement, we have been embraced strongly by the government of Burkina Faso. And I want to thank Mr. Bauda, and I want to thank Ambassador Kubilaye, or Kubilaye. I want to thank the ambassador and Mr. Buddha for all that they have done with and for us. Our mission in Burkina Faso has been to bring help and aid and skills to support the development of Burkina Faso and the Alliance of Sahel States. Been embraced by the Foreign Ministry, embraced by the Ministry of Education, embraced by the Prime Minister, and we have been embraced by the Alliance of Sahel States organizations, and we are honored. Burkina Faso and the government of Niger have told us that they want qualified Black people, Afro-descendants in America, to help them to get the correct message out. And we are going to do that. We are going to speak loud, professionally, and clear. We are going to help our brothers in the East, and we are not afraid of the consequences of standing up for the Alliance of Sahel States and President Traore and President Tashani and President Goita. We are unafraid and we are going to proceed on. And tomorrow, the 5th of July, on this day of Black independence, we are going to open up our diplomatic mission and our offices inside of Burkina Faso, and we are going to have a permanent presence in that nation, and our work is permanent. It is not symbolic. We are calling on qualified Blacks in the West, doctors, engineers, agriculturalists, and Black people of all kinds of skills to join with us so we can help Burkina Faso and our allies in Africa. Putting my email in the chat room. I want to hear from every qualified Black person in the West. If you have a skill that can make the life of our people in Burkina Faso better, I want to hear from you now, because we have to put your skills into practice so that we can make sure that the revolution that has began is sustained. To conclude and to bring on Mr. Basaloma Bazier, I want to thank Brother Ramzu Yunus, who has inspired us for this day, July 4th. May God protect him in Detroit. I want to thank my mentor, Dr. Khalid Mohammed. Without Dr. Khalid Mohammed, I wouldn't be here. And what I'm doing is in furtherance of what I have learned from Dr. Khalid Mohammed, Louis Farrakhan, Kwame Ture, and other greats that I have studied under in my career. We're calling for a united front of Pan-Africanists and Afro-descendants and all Black people who want self-determination and independence. We are making that formal call today. No one man can achieve this mission alone. It is going to take all of us intelligently and well organized together to succeed in this critical hour. We have the leadership in this meeting. We have the leadership in this meeting that, if well organized, can be a type of a government that can achieve all of our objectives of a United States of Africa, reparations for our people, and self-determination for all of us. We have the talent at this table. Please, let us join together in this hour. We will read to you shortly our declaration and call for a united front for our liberation. We want you to hear our declaration, and we want every leader to sign on to a mutual declaration to build a united front. Please, delegates and brothers and sisters who are watching, be patient with us today and be patient with us tomorrow. Yes. I'd like to bring to you now, on behalf of the friends of President Traore in the West, President of the Commission of the Alliance of Sahel States, I bring to you a man who has one of the most important missions on the entire face of the planet Earth. A man who represents one of the most courageous leaders that we have and have ever had for Black or African people, Ibrahim Traore, the president of the Commission of Alliance of Sahel States, the Honorable Basaloma Bazier. Please, representing the government of Burkina Faso, please listen carefully and please receive our brother.
Before starting, I would like us to have 1 minute or to have 1 minute for all those people who have lost their life in the fight of this, the freedom of this country.
De plusieurs personnalités dans le monde qui ont sacrifié leur vie pour notre dignité.
Okay, a lot of people who have fought for or who have sacrificed their dignity for the liberation of for the freedom of for our dignity.
Sans être exhaustif, j'appelle Martin Luther King.
Without further ado, I will quote Martin Luther King.
J'appelle Thomas Sankara.
I will call on Thomas Sankara, President Thomas Sankara.
Malcolm X.
I will call Malcolm X.
Modibo Keïta.
I will also call Modibo Keïta.
Fidel Castro.
Fidel Castro.
Kwame Nkrumah.
Kwame Nkrumah.
Patrick Lumumba.
Patrick Lumumba.
Et bien d'autres chers Africains et les combattants de la liberté à travers le monde qui ne sont plus en vie aujourd'hui.
And many other freedom fighters who are no longer with us today.
Je salue également les mémoires de l'ensemble de nos parents que nous avons perdus à travers la traite négrière, la colonisation et le néocolonialisme.
Okay, I also greet the memory of all our ancestors who lost their life during slavery, colonization, as well as colonialism.
Je salue en troisième position l'ensemble de nos frères africains qui sont connectés à travers cette activité organisée ce jour.
Thirdly, I would like to greet all our friends, our brothers all through around Africa who are connected today for this organized event.
J'utilise ce moment pour réitérer une fois de plus ma profonde gratitude à l'endroit de son Excellence le capitaine Ibrahim Traoré pour ma désignation à la direction de cette commission.
I will use this opportunity to once again show my gratitude, my gratefulness to Captain Traoré, Ibrahim Traoré, for appointing me for this position today, since last year.
Je souhaite la bienvenue et très bon séjour à l'ensemble de nos frères africains qui sont sur leur propre sol, le Burkina Faso, qui fassent un très bon séjour et un très bon retour.
Welcome to all those panelists who are around in Burkina Faso for this event, and I would like to wish them the best for them to go back to their respective countries.
Que tous ceux qui sont engagés dans cette lutte en prenant la parole aujourd'hui, 4 juillet, comprennent que dès lors que c'est la mémoire des Noirs, ils sont en train d'appeler la mémoire de l'ensemble de tous ceux qui se sont sacrifiés pour cela.
I also want to call that and let you know that all those who are involved in this fight and are around for this event to know that this is for all those who fought for our freedom and dignity many years ago.
La Confédération des États du Sahel aujourd'hui est en pleine lutte.
The Confederation of Sahel, Alliance of Sahel States, is today in full fight.
Et cette lutte est profondément révolutionnaire.
And this fight is deeply revolutionary.
Et cette révolution, c'est contre les crimes humains qui ont été commis à travers le monde.
And this revolution is against all crimes that have been done or committed against the humanity all around the world.
C'est contre les crimes politiques et économiques.
It's against economic and political crimes.
C'est contre les crimes sécuritaires et culturels.
It's against cultural and security crimes.
Voilà pourquoi je tiens à magnifier la bravoure, l'engagement et la vision des 3 chefs d'État de la Confédération des États du Sahel.
This is the reason why I would like to congratulate or acknowledge the bravery of the 3 presidents of the Alliance of Sahel States.
Une lutte révolutionnaire est une lutte de sacrifice et d'engagement.
A revolutionary fight is a struggle for engagement and all your sacrifice that you have to give.
C'est une lutte également d'espoir.
It's a fight of hope.
Parce que justement, l'Afrique a toujours été piétinée.
Because Africa has always been passed down.
Et l'ensemble des peuples du monde épris de justice, de paix, de souveraineté sont debout.
And all people who have been bereaved from their freedom is upright.
Derrière ces trois présidents parce qu'ils portent le drapeau haut.
Behind these three presidents because they hold the flag high.
Le drapeau pour lequel les leaders que j'ai précédemment cités ont été assassinés.
The flag for which the leaders previously listed have been killed.
L'espace de la Confédération, c'est un espace de liberté des peuples.
The space of this confederation is a space of freedom of people.
C'est un espace de conquête de la souveraineté des peuples.
It's a space for the conquest of people liberation.
C'est un espace de conquête de la liberté politique, économique, sécuritaire et culturelle.
It's a conquest for freedom of cultural freedom, economic as well as political.
On ne peut pas mener une telle lutte étant assis.
We cannot hold such fight being seated.
Voilà pourquoi les peuples doivent comprendre qu'ils doivent se mobiliser autour des trois présidents.
This is the reason why people should be aware that they should be alongside those three presidents.
Et je tiens déjà à féliciter l'engagement que nous avons vu à travers le monde pour soutenir le capitaine Ibrahim Traoré, le chef de l'État du Burkina, lorsque le général Langley a fait une mauvaise sortie.
Okay, about the last statement from General Langley, I would like to acknowledge all the engagement and all the support that people have been giving to the Captain Ibrahim Traoré.
Que l'ensemble des loups à travers le monde comprennent que nous n'allons plus laisser nos chefs d'État assassinés comme des mouches.
That all the world be acknowledged that we will no longer leave our president or our leaders be killed as flies.
Ce qui se passe dans l'espace sahélien, notamment dans la Confédération des États du Sahel, c'est l'ensemble des peuples du monde épris de liberté qui sont en mouvement.
All what is going on in the space of Sahel is a snapshot of all what has been doing to Africans, all what have been doing to people who lack their freedom.
Voilà pourquoi les trois présidents se sont retrouvés le 16 septembre 2023 au Mali.
This is the reason why the three presidents have met on the 16th of September 2023 in Mali.
Et ils ont créé l'Alliance des États du Sahel.
And they created the Alliance of Sahel States.
Le 6 juillet 2024, ils se sont retrouvés au Niger.
July 6, 2024, they met in Niger.
Ils ont créé la Confédération des États du Sahel.
They created the Confederation of Sahel States.
Ils ont pris un certain nombre de décisions en lien avec notre avenir.
Many decisions were taken about our future.
Et ces décisions sont en train d'être inlassablement mises en œuvre.
And these decisions are being taken with consideration for our future.
Elles ont permis la mise en place d'un passeport commun le 29 janvier 2025.
It allowed the elaboration of a common passport in January 2023.
Et ce passeport est pour permettre la mobilité de l'ensemble des peuples du Sahel.
And this passport is to allow people from Sahelian country to move freely.
Ils ont permis la création d'un drapeau le 22 février 2025.
It allowed the creation of a flag.
Justement,
2024.
En plus du drapeau, il y a eu l'hymne du Sahel qui a été créé le 11 mai 2025.
In addition to the flag, the national anthem of the Sahel has been created.
Il y a eu la mise en place de la Banque confédérale pour l'investissement et le développement qui a été créée le 23 mai 2025.
A bank of investment and development has been created this year as well.
Il y a eu la création de la radio de l'espace AES le 23 avril 2025.
A radio for the Sahelian space has been created in April 2025.
Il y a eu la mise en place de la force unifiée militaire du Sahel le 15 avril 2025.
On the 15th of April 2025, a united force for Sahelian country has been created.
D'autres décisions sont en cours pour notre souveraineté.
Many decisions are on the way for our sovereignty.
Et c'est justement ces décisions qui doivent porter fondamentalement également et pleinement notre souveraineté.
And these are the decisions that we should take and that will lead us to our sovereignty.
Et dans ces cas, pour citer quelques exemples,
and in this case, to list some of them,
nous sommes en train de nous battre pour les questions du renforcement de nos langues, le changement de l'éducation, mais également le retour aux sources culturelles.
We are fighting to back to our roots concerning education in terms of our national languages, as well as the re-education of our education system, or to review our education system.
Nous n'allons plus abandonner les cerveaux de notre jeunesse à des semeurs de troubles et des criminels pour ensemencer du n'importe quoi.
We will no longer leave our people to be brainstormed by people who look for their own interests.
Le deuxième élément, c'est la question de la monnaie.
The second aspect is the currency.
Il nous a été imposé le franc français qui est le franc des colonies françaises d'Afrique.
We have been imposed the currency of what we call France currency, that is a currency for colonies from France colonies at that time.
Le combat ferme est de sortir de cette monnaie coloniale.
The fight is to get out of this colonial spirit.
Le troisième niveau de combat, c'est la question de la santé.
The third level of fight concerns fighting for the sanitary assets.
Nous n'allons plus admettre qu'on fabrique des médicaments pour venir nous les faire avaler à travers l'OMS sans savoir exactement de quoi il s'agit.
We will no longer allow the Organization of World Health to come and give us drugs that we no longer know how they were made and how we should take them or how they were made.
Le quatrième élément, c'est le commerce.
The third aspect is travel. Trade.
Nous sommes engagés à produire et à consommer ce que nous consommons chez nous-mêmes.
We are committed to produce and consume what we're able to produce ourselves.
Et justement, nos produits seront transformés également sur place.
And then our product will be produced and transformed here.
Le cinquième élément, c'est la question de la justice.
The fifth element concerns justice.
Nous n'allons plus admettre qu'on trimballe nos chefs d'État devant la Cour pénale internationale.
We will no longer accept that they bring our president or our leaders before the international courts.
En fabriquant des fausses preuves pour les coller, les embastiller et pour les y amener.
By manufacturing fake testimonies so that they can imprison them.
L'objectif est de créer une cour confédérale judiciaire dans notre espace.
The goal is to create a confederal court in our space.
Le deuxième élément, c'est l'égalité à travers le monde.
The next element is equality around the world.
Nous avons dit que l'ONU ne joue pas son rôle.
We said that UN is not playing its role, is not being responsible.
Et si l'ONU continue d'accompagner des larbins africains,
and if UN continues to support an honest people
qui modifie les constitutions et qui tue des milliers de personnes pour avoir des troisième, quatrième mandats,
who modify laws and use this opportunity to kill and allow third mandate terms for president.
Qui manipulent, assassinent et pillent leur peuple.
Who manipulate and loot people, their people.
Cette ONU n'est pas loin d'être visée par un coup d'État.
This UN is not far from undergoing a military coup or coup d'État.
Je termine tout simplement par une note d'espoir.
I end with a hoping note.
Il faut qu'on ait confiance en nous-mêmes.
We must have self-confidence.
Que nos intellectuels évitent d'appliquer de façon très béate des termes qui sont fabriqués.
Okay, our literate people should avoid to take into consideration concepts or ideologies that have been manufactured.
Des termes qui répètent à longueur de journée dont le contenu ne cadre pas avec nos réalités.
Ideologies that do not rhyme or that do not allow with our realities.
On entend parler d'élections.
We hear about elections.
On entend parler de démocratie.
We hear about democracy.
On entend parler de légalité.
We hear about equality.
On entend parler de légitimité.
We hear about legal or legitimacy.
On entend parler de référendum.
We hear about referendum.
Y a-t-il eu référendum avant de ramasser nos parents, grands-parents comme des esclaves?
Was there any referendum before taking by force our forefathers?
Il y a eu référendum avant que la France n'applique les bases militaires étrangères dans nos pays?
Was there any referendum before France installed military barracks in our countries?
Y a-t-il eu référendum pour nous imposer le franc CFA?
Was there any referendum to impose us franc CFA?
Toutes les puissances disent que l'Afrique est pauvre.
All the superpowers say that Africa is poor.
Les mêmes disent que l'Afrique est malade.
The same people say that Africa is sick.
Mais si on te dit de quitter dans un endroit qui est malade ou de laisser tomber un plat qui est pauvre et tu te plains, c'est qu'il y a quelque chose quand même.
But if you have been urged to leave a sick place or a sick environment or a place that is not clean, why do you decide, don't you want to leave?
Nos grands-parents ont eu confiance en eux-mêmes.
Our forefathers had self-confidence.
C'est l'Afrique qui doit éduquer le monde en démocratie.
It's Africa that should educate the world about democracy.
C'est l'Afrique qui doit éduquer le monde en droits humains.
Africa is the one to educate the world about human rights.
Parce que la première charte en droits humains a été votée au Mandingue au Mali.
Because the first law about human rights has been voted in Mandingue. This is Mali.
La charte de Kutanfuga.
This was the law of Kutanfuga.
Qui a été votée en 1236.
That has been voted in 1236.
C'est 5 siècles après qu'est venue la Déclaration universelle des droits de l'homme et des citoyens.
This is 5 centuries before the Declaration of Human Rights and Citizenship.
Et c'est 7 siècles après qu'est venue l'actuelle Déclaration universelle des droits de l'homme et des peuples.
And this is 7th century before the current Declaration of Human Rights and People.
C'est pour aussi dire que les États-Unis, la première personne à découvrir ça, c'est un noir.
That is to say that even the United States, the first person to discover it was black.
C'était notre grand-père Mansa Aboubakari II.
It was our forefather Mansa Aboubakar II.
Et il était un Malien.
And he was a Malian.
Il a découvert les États-Unis en 1312.
He discovered the United States in 1312.
Bien avant Christophe Colomb qui l'a découvert en 1492.
By far before Christophe Columbus who discovered it in 1492.
Soit 180 ans après.
This is 180 years after.
Donc, que le monde et les malfaiteurs arrêtent de continuer de nous empoisonner avec leurs livres au contenu mensonger.
Then people should stop lying to us with the facts that are not true.
Donc, l'espace de la Confédération AES est un espace d'espoir pour tous les peuples du monde qui se battent pour la liberté et la souveraineté.
Then the space of Sahel state is a space for all those who are fighting for freedom and sovereignty.
L'espace AES est un espace de l'ensemble des peuples du monde.
The space of Sahel state is a space for all people around the world.
Et sur cette base, j'invite à la solidarité.
Then I invite to togetherness.
J'invite à l'unité.
I invite to unity.
J'invite au combat.
I invite to fight.
On doit comprendre que si un cheveu noir tombe aux États-Unis,
we must understand that if one hair falls in the United States,
c'est un cheveu noir qui est tombé au Burkina Faso, on ne va pas l'accepter.
This is a black hair that has fallen in Burkina Faso, and we won't allow it.
Ils ont dit qu'ils vont demander la nationalité burkinabé au chef de l'État.
They say that they will ask the citizenship, Burkina Faso citizenship, to the president.
Mais qu'ils comprennent déjà
But they must understand that
que le fait déjà qu'ils soient chez eux au Burkina,
the fact that they are in their country, Burkina Faso,
c'est parce qu'ils ont déjà la nationalité burkinabé.
This is the reason. This is because they already have the Burkina Faso, the citizenship.
Les questions de papier ne viennent que pour le confirmer.
The question around papers come just to confirm.
Vive nos leaders qui se sont sacrifiés pour l'Afrique.
Long live to our leaders who sacrificed themselves for Africa.
Vive les 3 leaders qui sont en train de tirer la révolution pour le changement.
Long live to the 3 leaders who are.
Vive l'unité entre l'ensemble de nos frères noirs à travers le monde.
Long live to the revolution between or among among Africans.
Vive nos ancêtres.
Long live to our ancestors.
Gloire et pouvoir à nos peuples.
Glory and power to our people.
La victoire nous appartient.
The victory is ours.
Restons debout, continuons le combat. Merci bien à tout le monde.
Let's stay straight, stall. The fight is for us and the continent is ours. Thank you.
To Benny, come off your mute. Come on, y'all. Let's give him a strong hand. Let's give him a strong hand here on this broadcast, on this webcast.
Salut, salut.
Okay. Black power.
Pouvoir noir. Pouvoir noir.
Okay. Thank you for your patience, sisters and brothers. Baby, you got to translate for me.
Oh,
Thank you for your patience, sisters and brothers.
Merci pour votre patience, frères et sœurs.
I want to announce that our delegation is continuing to be successful.
Je voudrais annoncer que notre délégation continue à être à réussir dans ce qu'elle fait.
We are happy to announce that our office and our diplomatic mission has been secured.
Oui, nous sommes heureux de vous annoncer que notre diplomatie a été sécurisée.
Our office will now be located at the African American Academy.
Notre bureau sera maintenant situé à l'école américaine Ouara 2000, African American Academy.
In Ouagadougou.
À Ouagadougou, certainement, sûrement.
And that information will be placed in the chat room.
Et l'information sera mise dans le groupe commun.
Show us the picture. Brother Mintu, show us the picture of our office.
Let me do that.
Come on, 1 second.
Show that picture. He's bringing up the picture
Ok.
We want to let
Donc,
you know
il va envoyer l'image. Nous voulons vous faire savoir.
we strive to make our word bond.
Luttons pour rendre ce monde uni.
We need teachers to come to and to help Burkina Faso.
Venons et aidons le Burkina Faso.
Niger has told me that they need engineers and scientists to come to Niger.
Ok, le Niger m'a informé qu'ils ont besoin de scientifiques et d'ingénieurs pour venir au Niger.
Sisters and brothers, here's our office.
Frères et sœurs, voici notre bureau.
It's at the African American Academy.
C'est notre bureau à l'African American Academy.
We're going to decorate it.
Nous allons le décorer.
And we are going to staff it.
Et nous allons l'établir. And
we have a permanent presence to carry out a permanent work in the Sahel states, and we are grateful in this hour.
Et nous serons permanents pour faire un travail permanent dans l'espace des pays du Sahel.
Okay, so what I want to do is to bring on my dear brother in this mission, Brother Safiwe Baleka, who is going to bring on Dr. Jume Faye, who is the General Secretary of the Pan-African Federal Movement.
Ok, je vais laisser la parole à Sifwe Belaka, qui est le secrétaire général de ce mouvement.
Dr. Faye, we look forward to us working together.
Nous voulons que nous travaillions ensemble.
Brother Malik,
Brother Malik, you may have forgotten, but we worked together before. You know me well. We know each other.
Malik, je pourrais oublier, mais nous avons travaillé ensemble. We work together.
Pardon me. Thank you so much to see you again. Thank you so much to see you again, and thank you for your patience today. We're trying to get it together.
So allow me to have the honor and the duty to introduce Dr. Jume Faye. We have said on this spotlight, please. We have said already on this broadcast that the Alliance of Sahel States is leading us towards the dream of a united African states, a powerful one Africa for all of us. In 2015, a group of very serious veteran Pan-Africanists met to sit down and discuss how to bring about a united African states that is not from the top down, but from the people up. And since that time, that effort to get under the hood, the mechanics of bringing about a united African states for all African people everywhere, has been led by the Pan-African Federalist Movement, which is the brainchild of our next speaker, Dr. Jume Faye, he and others of his colleagues. We would also like to congratulate him on the election of his nephew's son, who is the president of Senegal, by the same namesake, Jume Faye. So there's too many accolades, too many things I could say about my colleague, my friend, my mentor. But at this time, I invite you to take the floor, Dr. Faye.
Thank you very much, Sifwe Jokanjal. Maxay gid mga paxe. In Serer, thank you, Sifwe. I am thanking you very much in my tongue, Serer. I would just a little bit allow me the liberty for 1 minute to talk to my brothers in Burkina Faso. Monsieur le Président Bazier, je ne sais pas, vous ne me connaissez pas probablement, mais j'ai vécu 2 ans au Burkina Faso de mars de mars 85 à mai 87, à côté de mon grand frère qui m'avait adopté, le capitaine Thomas Sankara, et avec qui j'ai beaucoup travaillé dans l'association des anciens du Faso, où j'ai été littéralement adopté par Sangoulé Lamizana et Maurice Yaméo. Donc, je suis familier avec la révolution burkinabé du 4 août. Je suis un vétéran de cette révolution-là. Nous avons construit des théâtres populaires partout. Nous avons construit les routes. Nous avons commencé le Faso d'Anfani avec le capitaine Thomas Sankara. Et donc, je connais bien le Burkina. So I was telling my brother Bazier, is it allow me to just tell him that he may not know me, but I'm a veteran of the August 4th revolution of Burkina Faso. I was in Burkina Faso from March 1985 to May 1987, and adopted by my older brother, Thomas Sankara, who really took me. And I worked with the Association of the Elders of Burkina Faso with two former presidents, President Maurice Yameougo and President Lamizana, who actually mother happened to be from Senegal. So I'm familiar with Burkina Faso. I'm familiar with revolution. I am really excited that you all are doing this. I know that my time is limited, so I am greeting everyone taking part in this exchange, primarily focused on the implication of Africans in the West. I mean, I understand by African in the West, those living in the USA and Western European, the Western Europe, the primary, not necessarily the main culprits on what's wrong with Africa, as Calderisi lamented a few years ago in his book. The decision, Sifwe, certainly I'm talking to you, the decision to have me speak right after this representative, the president of the IAS, is certainly, my dear brother Basolama Bazier, was certainly assigning me, consciously or unconsciously, a very tall order. I will do my best not to beat on dead horses by repeating what he already explained convincingly by my brother. That is how to create a realistic agency. Let me just repeat that. How to create a realistic agency which will end for once and for all the oppression and exploitation of African people by foreigners, meaning imperialism and neocolonialism today. This agency being what Marcus Garvey called the empire on which the sun will never set. An entity of African people, by African people, and for African people, and mainly controlled by Black people by mere reason of demography and democracy. The topic I was assigned by my brother Sifwe is the relevance of a united African state for Africans residing in the West. Just hear me here. We are not saying the United States of Africa. That is reductive. That exclude Haiti, that exclude Guyana, that exclude all the African countries in the Caribbean, where the overwhelming majority is of African descent and claim its Africanness. So these are part of a union. They must be part of a union, since Haiti has been throughout history the only Pan-African state that I know as a political scientist. So these countries belong to the mix. So this is why we talk about a united African state instead of a United States of Africa, which would be completely incorrect when talking about geography. Those who are listening to me and are familiar with Malcolm X, massive contribution to the formulation of what we Black people are fighting for and why are we fighting for these things, already have the answer to this question. In his speech to the African Summit Conference, August 21, 1964, he went long saying that we are, part of the African problem, just like African on the continent are part of the problem. We must find solutions for Africa, just like Africans on the continent have found solutions for need to find solutions for Africa. We have never given up our citizenship to Africa, our land ownership. So Africa belongs to us as much as it belongs to those who are. In fact, you made us African. Another place where Malcolm X answered this question is when he spoke admiring of Mao Zedong global leadership at a rally in Harlem in November of 1964. He said, they used to have a saying that one doesn't have a Chinaman's chance, but they don't say that anymore. They used that expression back when China was weak. But now that Mao Zedong has been successful in making China a strong country, the Chinese have more chance than anybody else. So this saying has been outdated. Well, just as it took a strong China to give a Chinese person respect wherever that Chinese person is found on this earth, when we get a strong Africa, meaning a united African state, the person of African origin or African ancestry will be respected any place on this earth, even in America. But he will not be respected in America until Africa is strong, just as the Chinaman was not respected abroad until China became strong. Malcolm X further stated that you are not feared for who you are, but who you has your back. The United African State that the Pan-African Federalist Movement is doing everything to contribute to its birth will not only make a significant improvement in the opportunities for self-betterment available to Africans in the West, but will also increase their security by its mere capacity to put real pressure on the states where they reside. For those who will accept to become citizens of the United African State, an unalienable right to them, the federal government will always full protective measure whoever they may elect, wherever they may elect to reside in the universe. Those who are today fighting for the reparation of the wrongs which are being done to Africans, because this didn't stop now. Since the latter part of the 16th century, the huge place which the United African States will occupy on the world geopolitical map will put into their hands a bargaining tool through power. The kind of reparation African people deserve will not be obtained through the justice system or the legislative bodies controlled by those who are the culprits of the crimes African people want and deserve redress for. Some pessimistic will certainly say that the birthing of a united African state is highly hypothetical, and these issues require urgent attention. The sage in the Wolof, in the Senegalese pre-colonial nation, which is called the Wolof, say, Lujot Yomb. Here I will translate it by social change happen much easier when the condition or context allows them to happen. In the 1960s, the context for the birth of an empire, which the sun will never set on, had not ripened. Yet, leave alone when the apostle of African unionism, Marcus Garvey, began calling for it in the 1920s. Today, the conditions are ripe to end the imperialist mode of production imposed by the West to African people through the neocolonial political system. The proof of this pudding is the popularity enjoyed by the Burkinabe, Mali, and Niger military leaders, as well as the victory of President Diomaye Faye in March 24 of 2024. The youth, which constitute the overwhelming majority of the population in the African countries, has demonstrated through giving legitimacy to the Malian, Burkinabe, and Niger coup d'etat, and making presidential campaign victorious, that it is ready, President Diomaye's campaign victorious, it made it clear that they are ready for ending foreign dominations. It belongs to us. I'm talking about us elders and not so young like Sifu Baleka, who have more experience to create for these young people an agency for this liberation to play their role. In the Pan-African Federalist Movement, we fully agree with Mwalimu Julius Nyerere when he stated, without unity, there is no future for Africa. The major obstacle, let me just put it this way, we in the Pan-African Federalist Movement see today to the birth of a united African state is the cacophony, meaning too much people claiming leadership among African Unionists. This is why the PAFM is organizing from October 14 to October 18, 2026, the Forum of the African Unionists in order to end this cacophony that is harmful and harmful competition for the occupation of the Messiah position in the leadership of this unionist movement. African people do not need a Messiah for their liberation. They need humble visionaries who can work hand in hand to free them from neocolonialism and imperialism and open huge opportunity to regain full control of their destinies and humongous human resource and the control of their humongous human resource and human and natural resources. The main goal of the Forum of the African Unionists will be to develop synergy, cooperation, and produce a memorandum of understanding which will allow us to work with one another, not engage in competitions which only serves the interests of the enemies. In this MOU, we will agree on what is today the tactical priority. I mean, tactical priority in our wars against neocolonialism and imperialism. This MOU will allow unionists to overlook their minute differences of opinion on minute tactical matters, knowing full well that we all share the same strategic goal, the birth of the empire on which the sun will never set. When in the late 1880s, Western Europeans had decided to partition Africa, they met in Berlin for several months to coin a memorandum of understanding on how they will conquer us without killing each other in the process. They succeeded. We leaders of the various African Unionist organizations and movement must be smart enough and humble enough to arrive during our gathering in Bamako, October 14 to 18, at an MOU, which will be able to help us take advantage of the favorable context for African unionism and achieve the Garvey, Nkrumah, Job, Boganda, Modibo Keita, Senghor, Sekou Touré, Milton Obote, to only name a few, our predecessors, African unionists. Let's take ownership of the Frantz Fanon's advice when he stated, each generation must, in the opacity of things, discover its mission and accomplish it or betray it. We today have an opportunity that Kwame Nkrumah did have. We have an opportunity that Malcolm X, that Marcus Garvey did not have, because the conditions were for a change were not ripe. Yes, they were ripe for independence. Yes, they were ripe for the creation of the UNIA after the return of the veterans of World War I. Today, the conditions are ripe to end imperialism and neocolonialism in Africa and make Africa available to Africans in the West who have a humongous amount of know-how to come back home, be assigned by force, by the federal government, a land, a piece of land of their own, because they never give up the land.
One more minute, my Baba, my elder. One more minute.
And put on the table at the United Nations Security Council that we will be a member with voting with veto power, the question of the reparation of the wrongs of slavery and colonialism. Forward to the birth of this united African state, forward to a successful African Unionist Forum, African Unionist Forum. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Professor Jume Fai, and your wise words. To everyone that's watching this, you can go to the Pan-African Federalist Movement website to get more details. We are waiting for the Honorable PLL Lumumba to join us. He's having some connection issues right now. So as soon
Do you
as
want
we're
me
able
to briefly tell them in French what I just said?
Yes, if you, yeah, that would be great.
Do you
Right,
want to?
briefly. Yes.
Briefly. Donc, mes chers frères du Burkina Faso et qui parlent français, n'est-ce pas? Je vais par mémoire juste dire ce que je viens de dire. Ce que je viens de dire, c'est qu'on m'a demandé justement, me demander de parler avec le président, après le président Bazier, était certainement un défi pour moi. Parce que quand même parler après une personne aussi importante que vous, Monsieur le Président, c'est pas facile. J'avais peur un peu, j'avais la trouille, mais je me suis dit que peut-être que je vais parler de quoi vous n'avez pas parlé. J'ai rappelé que j'ai été au Burkina Faso, comme je vous l'ai dit déjà, n'est-ce pas? Et j'ai informé les gens ici que les conditions aujourd'hui, n'est-ce pas? Une Afrique unie est la seule capable de libérer les Africains de l'Ouest du fardeau d'être des minorités dans leur pays de résidence. Une Afrique unie, que nous appelons les États africains unis parce que nous incluons les Caraïbes dans ces États africains unis, n'est-ce pas? Haïti comme Jamaïque sont des États africains pour moi, aussi bien que le Sénégal que le Burkina Faso. Donc, pour nous, notre mouvement. Et pour cela, nous disons que cette naissance de ces États africains unis sera la seule agence, le seul moyen de nous libérer définitivement du néocolonialisme et de l'impérialisme. Et pour cela, mais il y en a qui pensent justement que ça ne va pas arriver bientôt. Je le rappelle que la réalité aujourd'hui, le contexte aujourd'hui est favorable à un tel changement. L'arrivée au pouvoir de mon fils Diomaye au Sénégal, n'est-ce pas, le soutien que les coups d'État du Mali, du Burkina Faso et du Niger ont eu par le peuple, montre que la jeunesse africaine est prête à en découdre, à en finir avec le néocolonialisme et l'impérialisme. Donc, le contexte, c'est ça qui crée le changement. Ce ne sont pas les êtres humains qui créent, quelle que soit leur valeur. Le contexte est ce qui crée le changement. Et donc, le contexte aujourd'hui est valable pour créer ce changement-là. Parce que la jeunesse africaine qui piaffe et qui est l'écrasante majorité du continent, piaffe d'impatience d'une Afrique unie, parce qu'elle sait, elle seule peut les libérer, n'est-ce pas, du néocolonialisme et créer les opportunités pour eux, créer la sécurité nécessaire pour eux, pour qu'ils puissent effectivement faire valoir ce qu'ils ont appris à l'école. Donc, j'appelle tout le monde. Nous organisons un séminaire, un forum des unionistes à Bamako, le 14, à la mémoire de Thomas Sankara, bien sûr, du 14 au 18 octobre l'année prochaine à Bamako. Et vous allez recevoir notre invitation, comme tous les francophones, n'est-ce pas? Et ce forum-là, c'est pour tous les mouvements et toutes les organisations qui veulent une unité, qu'elle soit culturelle, qu'elle soit économique, qu'elle soit politique. Une unité dont l'objectif est la restauration de la souveraineté des peuples africains, en général. Tous les peuples africains, nous disons bien. Donc, ce forum-là, qu'on appelle le Grand Forum des unionistes africains, est organisé en collaboration avec le gouvernement du Mali, se tiendra à Bamako et certainement, nous ferons tout pour rencontrer le président Traoré et le président du Niger, n'est-ce pas, pour les impliquer, et le président Diomaye, bien sûr, pour les impliquer dans ce forum-là, qui, nous croyons fermement, sera le tremplin qui nous mènera aux États africains unis. Une entité capable de demander un siège au Conseil de sécurité des Nations Unies avec un veto et qui peut s'attendre. Je leur ai expliqué que c'est seule cette entité-là qui peut permettre justement aux Africains de l'Ouest de demander la réparation des torts qui ont été causés aux Africains par l'esclavage et la colonisation et le néocolonialisme aujourd'hui. Voilà en bref ce que j'ai dit. Merci.
Thanks again, Professor Jume, for bridging the gap between You know, we have been divided by these colonial languages, but you bridge the gap. Thank you so much. And again, we direct people to go to the Pan-African Federalist Movement website for more information. At this time, we're going back to our great leader and comrade and visionary, Comrade Malik Zulu Shabazz.
It's a great day. First of all, we slow down for a minute. We've had a lot of details. Dr. Bay, help me out. We've had a lot of details, some of them stressful, but we must emphasize that it's a great day. It's a great day. And all of these speakers represent our permanent relations for our permanent fight. Okay?
Oui.
Yeah.
Je dis, oui. Je dis, nous avons un peu de stress, mais à l'heure, tout le monde qui est là, spécialement les leaders, c'est eux-mêmes qui vont au repos parce que le travail qu'on a fait est très important et puis nous avons un résultat qu'on a besoin.
Each leader who has been invited to speak, who has not spoken, you will speak. This is a very important process. Every speaker does not have equal time, but we thank you for cooperating. From the nation of Sheru, a great and visionary Black woman, African queen, Queen Shanta Herford. Let's bring her on and let's hear her. Honors to you.
Grand rising and shalom to our global Black family, to all of our elders, our leaders, our beloved brothers and sisters, and all of our daughters and sons across the globe. I greet you in power, truth, and purpose. I am Her Royal Majesty, Queen Shantae Lene Herford of the nation of Shira. Shira is a Hebrew word meaning liberty and freedom. We are a new, free, and independent international community of Indigenous Black Americans, Africans, and Afro-descendants with a shared purpose and vision to see our melanated Indigenous people all around the globe live free, live together, live well, and to live in peace. Today, we've heard many different perspectives, ideas, and opinions. Some I agree with and some I don't. But one thing I do agree with is that we are stronger and more powerful together. And there are many ways for us to come together and form alliances, such as creating our own United Nations-like organization so that we can have all of our various sovereign nations represented throughout the diaspora. Now, there's not enough time in this setting to list out all of the atrocities that are and have been waged against the Black man and the Black woman wherever we exist, everywhere in the world. Whether it's our own or others who are perpetrators and puppets of the Western governments, many of our own pastors, community leaders, politicians, and elders have led us astray, bamboozled us, and sold their souls to assimilate to white supremacy. But I warn you, we will never win this real war, which is a mental and spiritual war, or achieve our independence if we are too busy fighting one another instead of doing what thriving nations are doing, investing in education, developing economies, building enterprise, and empowering our youth to be the next leaders. I am extremely glad and honored to be on this platform with so many influential leaders from all over the world coming together on this platform to stand in solidarity with the AES heads of state and the Honorable President Ibrahim Traore to declare this day, July 4th, Black Independence Day. But we must remember, true independence isn't about what's written down on paper or what's said in speeches. Black independence is reclaiming our natural and human rights according to international law, building our own communities and systems here in the Americas, across the continent of Africa, and everywhere we exist. We need our own schools and our own curriculums. We need our own clinics, our own training centers, gardens, farms, manufacturing, migrating back to the South and reclaiming our land and political power. Black independence is not Democratic or Republican. Black independence isn't controlled by religious affiliations or ideologies. Black independence is not relying on their products or services, but producing our own. Black independence is banning the export of raw materials, ending foreign domination, and kicking foreign military bases off your sovereign land. We see y'all. Black independence is coming together in an alliance and taking action like we're doing today to end these systems that are responsible for most of the wars and genocide across this world. Black independence is creating and controlling our own narratives through Black independent and unbiased media. Black independence is having our own ports and planes. Black independence is being able to defend ourselves and determine our own destiny. As I conclude, I'm reminded of an old African proverb. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And I'm reminded of a quote by Harriet Tubman. I saved 1,000 slaves, but I could have saved 1,000 more if only they knew that they were slaves. Family, don't be fooled. Slavery has never ended. Today, it just goes by many different names. Modern day slavery, incarceration, sex trafficking, minimum wage employment, consumerism, media programming, and more. And they use politics, race, and religion, of course, to divide us. But the time for Black people everywhere to be free is here and happening now. And the decisions and actions we take in this time will determine our trajectory for generations to come. Family, we are at a crossroads, and we need all hands on deck. So let us leave here with the next steps and calls to action. Let us implement smart and strategic solutions, because we are witnessing the end of an empire, and we must unite and fight for our independence, or we will perish fighting each other like fools. The nation of Shira, whose members are primarily here in the US, but also scattered abroad, are here to ally with the Afro-Descendants Nation and other nations, tribes, kingdoms, companies, and organizations whose missions align with our 5 foundational pillars. And those are spirituality. We believe in the freedom of spirituality, self-determination, self-care, sustainability, and solidarity. So let's free the land and the people. I yield. Shira ve Shalom, freedom and peace.
Gratitude to you, and your partnership is going to bear fruits, and you are a woman that produces. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Okay. We're moving fast. So I want to thank Sister Nalungo on behalf of the EFF and Julius Malema in South Africa. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Miss Matilda Nalungo. You don't have to translate right now. Please, please, Sister Queen, give President Julius Malema my greetings, and please tell him that I want to bring him to the United States right away, that he has my offer to bring him here. And you all here, y'all come here. If he wants to come, I will be the man to help, and we will be the people to help bring him. We want to bring him, and we will be back again to South Africa soon. And we honor you. We honor you for taking your time. Okay, I have to make a legal disclaimer, because I must make a legal disclaimer. Okay, I am You can translate for me now. I am, and we are not agents of Burkina Faso. I turn the program back to the moderators for our final speakers, and then we will have our declaration of a united front, and we will close this great Black Independence Day. And if I had it my way, we'd come back in session every month and we handle business. But that's just a motion, just my motion. I turn you back to our moderators, and I thank you for listening.
Thank you, Comrade Malik. Again, this has been so far a great and historic moment. It's not over yet. We have a number of very important speakers that will continue. A bit of housekeeping. Since it is now top of the hour and it's 4 hours, in order to make sure all of our speakers are able to speak, we are not going to do translation after. My understanding is that the replay will have French captions during the replay, and we'll be able to get their words recorded for the Burkinabe people and the other French speakers. But we do want to make time for everyone. Okay. That being said, we're going to ask the remaining speakers to keep a tight ship, right? 3 minutes, message of solidarity. We know why we're here. The next speaker is another veteran Pan-Africanist who I met in Accra, Ghana. And the very first words off his mouth was Ubuntu and Pan-Africanism. And I have been working with him over the past year and a half. He's one of the people that has been involved in organizing the different Pan-African congresses. He's a professor of Pan-Africanism at Lincoln University. He's a good comrade. Brother Nyaka, please unmute your mic and take the floor.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, I'm here. Yeah.
Please proceed.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, I'm here. Just 1 second. Give me a second. Okay. I'm here. Okay. So thank you very much. 3 minutes, so I'm not going to speak a lot. I understand. I just want to thank you. Thank you, CPA, for your leadership. I'm very proud of you. And then you have that ability to bring many groups together. So today is just a demonstration of that. And what I'm going to say, of course, we express our solidarity to Burkina Faso and to Captain Ibrahim Traoré. I was in 2007, friends and I, Maurice Kane, the Socialist Workers Party, and the Answer Coalition, and many others. We launched a Pan-African meeting gathering, the Revival of Pan-Africanist Forum, and in 2012 we started a Thomas Sankara annual conference. So we've been in solidarity with Burkina Faso. But today, what I'm going to try and do in 2 minutes, because we don't have enough time, that's why I like what you did by tying the July 4th in the United States to the right to self-determination of the Sahel states and Burkina Faso. So this takes me to the speech Kwame Nkrumah gave on July the 10th, in the month of July 1953, and called the Motion of Destiny. So in that speech, Kwame Nkrumah was saying that we are here to claim this right of our independence. And the midnight speech that he gave on March 6, 1957, when Ghana became independent. And then in that powerful speech, there were 3 notions. The first is Black capability. We want to show to the world that the Black man is capable of managing his own affairs. And he spoke about the notion of African personality, which was coined by Edward Blyden. And the third element is the duty of Ghana to contribute to the decolonization of other parts of Africa. Meaning that when he said that the independence of Ghana is meaningless unless it is linked to the total liberation of the continent of Africa. So I use those three nations to come to today. We are in the context where we see Ibrahim Traoré and Burkina Faso rising as the leader of the face of the global Pan-African movement. So from the motion of destiny, then now I talk about the burden of duty. And then by talking about African personality, then we want to see Burkina Faso taking the lead to bring us together, and then so that we can organize some new Pan-African gatherings, and then so that Burkina Faso can propose to the world a model of development embedded in the African personality. And then as I talk about that, because in the book that I wrote recently, I talk about Pan-Africanism and the Ubuntu philosophy. We want to see Ibrahim Traoré and many others in the Sahel state. We want to see them claiming some African value systems. In South Africa, in the Nguni language, they call that Ubuntu. In Burkina Faso, it is called Bukindi. It would be beautiful to see Captain Traoré claiming that African personality embedded in the Bukindi philosophy, which is linked to the Ubuntu philosophy, and this is what we are promoting as a paradigm. So, and then I stop there because I don't want to take too much time. Thank you for the opportunity, and then we will be there. I will be in Burkina Faso myself in 4 or 5 days. Thanks. Bye.
Brother Naka, you just demonstrated that it's possible to say a lot in a short amount of time. And I want to thank you for setting an example of the very Ubuntu Pan-Africanism that you have consistently preached and that we're all talking about, and which is why we're here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now, I would also like to introduce Felipe Noguera, who is another veteran Pan-Africanist, who is a member of the Global Pan-African Movement Governing Council, which is organizing a Pan-African Congress, which has invited the Alliance of Sahel States and President Traoré to host it as the location in which all factions of the Pan-African world can agree to meet. So there's so much more I can say about this revolutionary brother. Please, Felipe, take the mic.
Thank you, my brother. Sifiwe, I would like to extend thanks to you and to the organizers, the Friends of Burkina Faso, for this important and historic initiative. We, from the Global Pan-African Movement, and I'll explain a little bit more in the few seconds that I have to, and the governing council of that movement, as well as the Caribbean, Pan-African, and Indigenous movement, which I am the coordinator, would like to express not only our solidarity, but our thanks to the Confederation of Sahel States. We say Confederation because when you take the acronym Association of Sahel States, in English, it's not what it is. It is a confederation, and it is in fact what we see as the vanguard of the Pan-African movement, of the Pan-African revolution, because the role that Presidents Ibrahim Traoré, Assimi Goïta of Mali, and Chiani, Abdurrahman Chiani of Niger are playing is setting the tone and the rhythm to advance the unification of Africa and African people worldwide well in advance of 2063. Now, we wrote to President Traoré in April and requested that Burkina Faso, that Ouagadougou be the venue, and that the Confederation of Sahel States host the 8th Pan-African Congress. The importance of the Pan-African Congresses can be seen from the first one, which was convened in London in 1900, right shortly after the Berlin Conference that's been referred to. And it was done by a Trinidadian lawyer named Henry Sylvester Williams in England. Dr. W.E.B. Du Bois, the renowned Pan-African scholar, convened the second and third Pan-African and fourth Pan-African Congresses in Europe. The 5th Pan-African Congress is very important the Manchester Congress, because it was at that Congress convened by George Padmore, C.L.R. James, the wives of both Garvey and Dubois were there. So they came together at the Fifth Pan-African Congress and set the tone for Osagyefo Kwame Nkrumah, for Kenya's Kenyatta, and many others to come together and form the Organization of African Unity. The Seventh Pan-African Congress was very important also in that it paved the way for the African Union's formation. Unfortunately, the African Union has been challenged, let me put it that way, severely challenged by external influences. An example is that the same year that Haiti was refused membership of the African Union, Israel was allowed to come in as an observer. But we know there are some very progressive forces within the AU, and we are working with them to ensure that the Eighth Pan-African Congress is the Ubuntu Congress, which you referred to, which you called for, Brother Sifiwe. We are because we are. I am because you are. And making that known in concrete ways. We are working with a group in IT right now, COHASA. Now I'll conclude with this. This is very important because they have been doing silent work in the mountains, feeding the hungry, growing their food, harvesting water, teaching the youth, and healing the elderly. We don't hear about them. They're under the radar. They're not in the media. In recent times, they have come under attack by traitors of the Pan-African movement in the form of Kenyan mercenaries who have been executing their youth. The group is called COHASA. Ansam Family has come to them because they are now rebelling against the oligarchs that have been financing them and using them to prey on the Haitian people. The same way that Africa's resources are being plundered by the imperialists and using people like Ruto and others. I won't call the others' names, but you know who I'm speaking about. Tenuba, I will call some of their names because they are blatantly betraying us. Standing in the face of that is Ibrahim Traore, a young revolutionary leader who we support. And I want to close by saying that we want to hold this meeting on African Liberation Day that week of 2026. And because the Global Pan-African Movement had called for it to be held in November, there was not enough time. We see what's going on in the Congo. We get messages every day from our comrades in the Congo about the murders that are taking place, notwithstanding the treacherous betrayal that was done by Kagame and Tshisekedi along with Trump to trade our resources. Haiti has iridium. The only other country with iridium is South Africa. That mineral is vital for the future of our space program, for our telecommunications trajectory, etc. I want to close with a phrase that I gave to the brothers in IT, in Kiswahili, and it is, Sisi tunataka mapinduzi sasa. I said, when you see the Kenyan soldiers and they line up your people, you say, watu wanataka mapinduzi sasa. Repeat after me, listeners. Watu wanataka mapinduzi sasa. Watu wanataka mapinduzi sasa. Ubuntu mapinduzi sasa. Umoja uhuru mapinduzi sasa. Asante sana. Thank you very much.
Bene, thank you so much, comrade. We look forward to hearing progress on the status of that Ubuntu Pan-African Congress, and hopefully from President Traore and his administration accepting to host it. Moving forward, now, it's my honor and pleasure to introduce one of the baddest, most revolutionary Pan-African leaders who is out of Europe. Every time she speaks, it's uncompromising, and she's outspoken against the elite capture of our Pan-African and reparations movements. Queen Esther Horsey, please unmute your mic and address us.
Giving thanks, Brother Sipiwe, and to you and the rest of the organizing committee of the Friends of President Traore in the West. To the upright Burkinabe people and those in the Sahel states, sisters, brothers, liberators, and comrades, we stand at a critical moment in our story, a moment of profound transformation, of radical reimagining, of unapologetic resistance, Today, we do not merely speak of connection. We embody Pan-Africanist solidarity and fraternity, a living, breathing commitment that flows through our veins, transcending borders, languages, and generations. We are inspired and energized by the revolutionary leadership of Captain Ibrahim Traoré of Burkina Faso, the courageous leaders General Goita of Mali, General Chishani of Niger, and the entire Alliance of Sahel states. These are not just political leaders, we know, but architects of a renewed Pan-African consciousness, creators of living, liberated zones that challenge the very foundations of imperial cartography. To our brothers and sisters in the Sahel and our communities of and in resistance there, we see you. We recognize that the revolution that you are waging is more than a political moment. It is a profound spiritual and material reclamation of African sovereignty. For many Pan-Africanists, this revolution represents a direct form of reparations from an African epistological standpoint. That is, the cessation of violations and laying the foundations for guarantees of non-repetition, a powerful taking back of our sovereignty, a reclaiming of our resources, an active resistance to the Ma'angamizi, that is the African Holocaust of neo-colonialism. You are not simply changing governments, but dismantling the very infrastructure of neo-colonial oppression, seizing control of our destiny and striking at the heart of Euro-American imperial exploitation. From the African diaspora in Europe, particularly through the powerful work of the Stop the Ma'angamizi campaign that I represent, we extend our most resolute Pan-Africanist solidarity. We are not distant supporters, but active participants in a shared Pan-African liberation struggle. Our connection is not theoretical. It is blood, it is breath, it is collective memory and collective future. Our vision is revolutionary. We are rejecting the colonial borders drawn after the Berlin Conference of 1884, 1885. We must continue to reject the European models of statehood and governance. We must ensure, by the harnessing of our global African people's power, the revolutionary Pan-Africanist indigenization of our political, economic, and social systems. We must reconstruct our collective power through horizontal community-led governance, and we must build the autonomous economic systems based on mutual aid and collective prosperity. And of course, we must protect and regenerate our ecological systems, centering African knowledges of planetary stewardship. The Alliance of Sahel States represents more than a political alliance to us. It is a living laboratory of African self-determination. Each liberated zone is not merely a territory, but a blackprint for repair of the African continent and our corresponding peoplehood, nationhood, and the establishment of what some of us decolonial Pan-African reparationists refer to as Ma'at Ubuntu Man in Ubuntu Dunia. That is, an Africa based on the principles of Ma'at in an anti-imperialist, decolonial, multipolar global justice world for all. And we see your role in this, in the creation of the Alliance of Sahel States. We are not seeking to recreate the nation-state model imposed by our oppressors, but to forge new forms of collective organization rooted in our indigenous knowledge systems, our communal philosophies, and our revolutionary spirit. To our diaspora communities in Europe, I salute your unwavering commitment. Our African communities here in Europe continue to hold high the banner of Africa First through decades of relentless organizing, scholarly resistance, and unbroken solidarity. From the anti-colonial movements to the current Pan-Africanist resistance, African heritage communities in Europe have consistently demonstrated that our commitment to liberation knows no borders. Our presence here is not just resistance, it is powerful, it is transformative. We are a force that challenges the imperial narrative narratives and that keeps the flames of our people's collective liberation burning bright. To the rest of us, by our own African people's power, we are creating not just the United African States, but a regenerative constellation of African liberation, a profound reconstruction that goes beyond artificial borders. Our emerging Pan-African nationhood must be rooted in African indigenous knowledge systems, guided by ancestral wisdom, committed to planet repairs, that is the nexus of cognitive, reparatory, and environmental justice, go beyond colonial constructs of governance, and prefigure a radical reimagining of our African and human potential. We must advance in taking action to evolve existing states beyond the borders drawn by historical and contemporary colonial oppressors, which separated indigenous African ethnicity and nationality from one of each other and from us in the diaspora, to develop plurinational African states which are premised on African knowledges, wisdom, and law, such as Ma'at, Ubuntu, and the equivalent that you have in Burkina Faso that our brother spoke of, reciprocity, interdependence, mutual care as the foundation for our political economy. To the leaders of the Alliance of Sahel States, we say your revolution is our revolution. As our brothers and sisters in Azania's rallying cry was then and still is now, Mayibuye i Africa, which translates to come back Africa or let Africa return, a profound call that echoes through generations of resistance, calling our people on the continent and in the diaspora to reclaim our sovereignty, dignity, and reassert our vicegerency over our besieged planet and her people. The struggle continues, homeland or death, Africa will be free.
Wow, that is fire. And like the tip of a spear, precise and deadly. Thank you, Comrade Esther, and our comrades that you represent over on that side of the Atlantic in Europe. Now I want to bring your sister comrade on the other side of the Atlantic. You see, we have revolutionary Pan-Africanists everywhere and embedded everywhere. And our next speaker is Illinois State Representative Carol Ammons, a revolutionary Pan-Africanist who I had the honor of working with when she put together resolutions that, state resolutions that called for voluntary DNA testing provided by the state of Illinois for all Black residents so they could identify who they come from in Africa, as well as a repatriation census so that we could identify everyone who wants to return to their African homeland. This was pioneering state resolution legislation that was created and led by this powerful sister. So Illinois State Representative Carol Ammons, my comrade, my sister, please take the floor.
Thank you and greetings. Greetings to all of you today. I'm grateful today when Africa and her children throughout the diaspora are awakened and united toward a common goal of restoration and revolution that aims to unite the land and her people. I am also known as Mama Agwaji, installed by Paramount Chief Tamaklo of the Volta region of Ghana in 2023. I am also known as Sister Carol Ammons, State Representative in the state of Illinois, representing the 103rd Legislative District. I am also a member of the Ubuntu community of CU. Thank you, Sipiwe, for putting this together, and greetings to all dignitaries, civil society organizations, and diplomats for your steadfast dedication to the liberation of Africa and Afro-descendants in the 6th region. To His Excellency President Ibrahim Traoré and the Burkinabe people, we send you greetings from the West, more specifically the state of Illinois, where we agree that human trafficking has to end and reparatory justice is still the right course of action for the aggrieved children of Africa and her descendants. I am here today as a daughter from warm waters, but due to the kidnapping, human trafficking, and forced labor of my ancestors, I have lived in a place of cold winters where Africa's children were raped, robbed, murdered, and miseducated for 4 centuries. setting up a system that turned on the idea of no return and complete erasure from our ethnic identity. In spite of their efforts, on January 13th, 2023, I proudly landed in Accra, Ghana. After spending 10 days in Ghana and visiting the slave dungeons of my ancestors, I returned to the Illinois House of Representatives and introduced House Resolution 453, which called on the state of Illinois to fund a pilot program to help Afro-descendants in Illinois reconnect with their ancestral lineage, utilizing genetic genealogy. I'm grateful to my colleagues who joined me and passed the resolution and funded the project. As I speak to you today, Afro-descendant researchers from Illinois are in Ghana, working with Ghanaian genealogists to increase the family reconnection database used to reconnect our families in the 6th region, specifically from the state of Illinois with their living relatives in the African diaspora and in Africa. The family reconnection work is paramount to economic and cultural development because it is about healing the gaping wound that has festered in the hearts of Africans in the diaspora since the Dum Diversas issued by Pope Nicholas V. The African Kinship Reunion Project, TAKIR, TAKIR.org, project launched by the Afro-descendant researchers in the West to find our origins and family connections on the continent, is a critical tool for healing and unity. I was born in Detroit, Michigan, but separated from my biological family. I shared my DNA with Dr. Lakeisha David of the TAKIR Project, and to my surprise, not only did she find my patrilineal side of the family, I was astonished when she notified me of who my family is. I am a direct descendant of Malcolm X, and have grown up learning and studying with Malcolm X. President Traoré, the diaspora asks you to encourage the Burkinabe people to participate in the TAKIR project, and that the resources of the Burkinabe people and Burkina Faso, the 120,000 that are represented in the diaspora, have living relatives that we can now connect and find. We must call upon all Black elected officials, the congressional members and state delegations to join us in the reversal of ethnocide by utilizing our own scholarship for our own people. For far too long, we've watched the government use DNA for the criminal purposes against our people. But today, we have our own genetic genealogists who can help us restore our lineage and find our rightful place in the world community. Today, we send greetings to you and all of the representatives that are there in Burkina Faso, and we thank you for working on behalf of every Afro-descendant in the West. Greetings and blessings to all of our people. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sister Carol. Again, we have so many powerful, committed folks doing the work where they're at. This project is revolutionary. It's part of the internal reparations. And we'd also like to note that we'd also like to thank the Republic of Burkina Faso for being a leader in recognizing the DNA testing and providing citizenship for Afro-descendants, particularly of Burkinabe origin, but also all Afro-descendants with their citizenship program. That came as a result of the groundbreaking mission that was led to Burkina Faso more than a year ago by Her Excellency Ambassador Erikana Chihombori Kwao. And so our next speaker, no less than any of our other speakers, is the CEO for the African Diaspora Development Institute, ADDI, which is Her Excellency Ambassador Erikana Chihombori Kwao's flagship organization. Anyone in the Caribbean region will definitely know our next brother and comrade, Philip Springer, who is, again, the CEO of ADDI. We are honored and pleased that you could join us and represent Her Excellency. Comrade Springer, the mic is yours.
Thank you, Sipiwe. Greetings, family. I greet you in the name of Most High God. I say shalom, shalom. I come to you today from the Caribbean. My name is Philip Nathaniel Catlin Springer. I represent a number of organizations. I'll just run them off very quickly here. ADDI, where I'm the CEO. ASPITA, which is ASIPA, the African Sovereign Indigenous Peoples Alliance. UNIA Barbados, and also the Barbados Sovereignty Union, EFF, Sovereignty Union, EFF. I come to you today with a message of solidarity, and I start in the words of one of my great ancestors here in the Caribbean, the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey, Africa for the African. And I say that because I'm asked to speak on what ADDI is committed to relative to the ongoing events. And I want to say to you that we are committed to the emancipation of our people globally. ADDI was started by Her Excellency Dr. Arikana Chiambori Kwao, former ambassador from the AU to America. ADDI is a global organ which largely represents the interests of African people across the 6th region. We have chapters in about 60 countries with about 73 chapters in total. ADDI is in the business of developing African people everywhere and providing a voice for all persons of African ascent. Our founder, Dr. Arikana Chiambori Kwao, is a valiant freedom fighter and a champion of the people of African ascent here in the 6th region. We at ADDI, ASIPA, UNIA Barbados, and the Barbados Sovereignty Party Union, EFF, stands with all our brothers and sisters to support the leaders of the AES, led by Captain Ibrahim Traore. Viva Captain Traore. We pledge our support to the movement for the freedom, emancipation, and sovereignty of all African people everywhere in the world. We look forward to a return trip to Burkina Faso in the near future to further advance social and economic agendas which have already been put in place by Her Excellency Dr. Arikana and the executive of ADDI. We look forward to building a strong South-South trade and economic, social, and political ties with the continent. We call for an end to the illegal Berlin Conference occupation of our Alkebulan, our motherland/fatherland. And that is very significant, folks. On Independence Day in America, I remember hearing Ronald Reagan say to Gorbachev, tear those walls down. Well, I'm asking us to say to the people that created the Berlin Conference, to remove those barriers, those invisible barriers all across the continent of Africa. We must embrace the concept of the Black Independence Day, July 4th. We want to thank you, King Brother Malik Shabazz, Zulu Shabazz, and the organizers of this event for inviting us and including us from the Caribbean to share our voice in support of Black independence. We are often ignored, but we play a very significant and vital role in the story of Africa and its dispersed peoples to the Americas, especially our brothers and sisters of Haiti. I want to thank Brother Faye, Dr. Faye, for mentioning it earlier. On a personal note, I'm an Afrofuturist. I want to help build a better world for all of us Africans and to make a better place where I can leave to my children and my grandchildren. On behalf of ADDI, ASIPA, UNIA, Barbados Sovereignty Union, EFF, I recognize all Pan-Africanists who have gone before me. People like Sylvester Williams, George Padmore, the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey, and no less Comrade Fidel Castro, who is often left out of the conversation when it comes to Pan-African issues, but has played such a vital role. Once again, I want to thank Brother Malik Zulu Shabazz for your vision. I want to thank all the organizers and thank Captain Ibrahim Traore and the leaders of the AES, Niger and Mali for your strong representation of Black leadership. Thank you, and may God bless you all. Merci beaucoup. Merci.
Thank you, Comrade Springer, and for all the work that you've been doing, particularly in the Caribbean region. We know that you are steadfast when it comes to the issue of self-determination, that we must unite amongst ourselves and take our own destiny into our own hands. You're doing great work. Also doing great work is the next speaker, who happens to be my brother in so many ways. We are both Balanta descendants. We are both from the state of Illinois. We both worked with Illinois State Representative Carol Ammons on that historic resolution she mentioned. Brother Cam Howard is well known throughout the world for his leadership in the reparations movement. He is currently the CEO and founder of Reparations United. He's been taking the diplomatic and legal struggle directly to the Vatican, among other things. My good brother Cam, please take the mic.
Thank you, Brother Safiwe. It's a pleasure, brother. And of course, we are brothers in so many, many ways, and thank you. I want to start also by echoing the disclaimer earlier that was stated. I stand in full and total solidarity with the Alliance of Sahel States. Independently, without foreign direction or control, all of my views expressed are personal and protected by the First Amendment Constitution. I want to thank this body for bringing this great team of leaders to address this issue of African independence. One of the roles of a leader, as Amos Wilson taught us, is that of a seer, one who sees reality of his people and shares that sight in a way that the people can grab it and move in a ways to change that reality in their favor. And Amos Wilson said the greatest seer that we had in the last several hundred years was the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey. And what I want to share today is what Garvey saw and what I see are the responses taking place now to what Garvey initially saw and shared with us. What Garvey saw during his time was a global order, a European global order that was built on the subjugation, enslavement, and continued exploitation of Africa and its people. The administrators of that global order has changed hands over the past 600 years, inaugurated by the Vatican, as we have heard earlier, with Portugal and Spain, then the Dutch, the French, the British, and now the US with NATO are the main operators of this current phase of this anti-African global order. Today, global Africa is responding to that anti-African global order with two of our own global African revolutions. And I state these words, you will use the word revolution in the way that you'll hear it today in the Declaration, which means complete constructive change. The first global revolution among Africans is one on reparations. National and regional reparations commissions throughout the Western world have been developed, led by CARICOM, NARC. There's also commissions in South Central America as well as in Europe. The continent of Africa has joined this revolution, this reparations revolution. We had 3 international reparations conferences in Ghana over the last 4 years, with one culminating in the African Union adopting 2025 as a year of reparations. Various organs within the United Nations framework, the Working Group of Experts, the People of African Descent, the Permanent Forum of People of African Descent, the High Commissioner of Human Rights himself also gave a brilliant statement in the last PFAD conference on the right and obligatory need of reparations by these European complicit actors. And recently, in the United Nations. It was an announcement of the second decade of People of African Descent, again, focused on reparations. In the United States, we have majorly contributed to this action on reparations. Legislatively, it has been led by 3 dynamic women, one who's an ancestor, Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee. At the local level, Robin Ruth Simmons, who has inspired hundreds of actions around the country. And at the state level, State Representative Shirley Weber, who introduced the California legislation. So we're clear in the midst of a reparation in this globally to reclaim the payment for the debt owed for the crimes committed against our ancestors for over 500, now almost 600 years that we are still impacted by across the globe. That's the first revolution that we're taking part in. And I think we should frame these actions as revolutions so we can direct our people into understanding that it's their opportunity. Not only opportunity, it's their obligation to act now, or as our elders stated, they will betray the mission that's before this generation. The second global African revolution is that of economic sovereignty. The opening chapter of the brilliant book by Dr. Amos Wilson, Blueprint for Black Power, chapter 12 states, economic powerlessness means political powerlessness. There is no real sovereignty, no real freedom or independence or self-determination without the control of the economic forces of your territory. That is being driven, and this new economic sovereignty revolution is being driven by this major contradiction that we heard about several times today, and that is Africa is the wealthiest continent on the planet, yet our people are the most undeveloped, has the least standard of living, are the least educated, has the highest poor and impoverished people, has highest mortality rates across all the demographics. We're on the bottom of every good list and the top of every bad list. We are the home of spirituality, yet some of our leaders are the most corrupt and initiators of human rights violations against our people. That has to change. And that's what this economic revolution is about, because all of these have an economic basis. The Alliance of Sahel States is the leading global entity addressing this issue of economic sovereignty, and that's why we stand fully in support. They have and are showing us what Africa can and must do to be free and be totally sovereign. We in the West must fully support their actions. We must defend their actions. As many people said, we are the shield of the Alliance of Sahel States against bogus foreign European actions. And most of all, we must emulate their actions. We outside of America must also see our central goal as one of economic freedom. For again, as Dr. Wilson stated, there is no independence without it. And on this Independence Day, July 4th, 2025, I say, let us make it real and do as Garvey has alerted us and has informed us, and that is to get true economic freedom as well as repair. Reparations now. Happy African Independence Day. Thank you.
Comrade Cam, thank you so much. Important work you've been doing for decades as a Pan-African and a leader for our fight for justice and self-determination and all of its forms. Thank you so much. Now we're going to switch over to the other moderator, Sister Tawhida. Are we ready on your end? With you and Sister
Yes, sir.
Oli?
We're going to ask Sister Oli to introduce her guest.
All right. Africa Rising. I'd like to introduce a mentor of mine. And also she is an elder in the movement, has been on the front lines for probably 60, 70 years. She's the executive director of the Citizens for Environmental Justice and the Freedom Fight. I want to introduce you to Dr. Bahati Jawara. Bahati, she's coming under my name.
Harambe, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Just one moment.
Okay, I'm not going to keep you all long. I've been listening very intently to all of the speakers. I'm really excited about what I've heard. I support everything that I have heard. And so I will just summarize what I have to say in these few words. First of all, I stand on the shoulders of Queen Mother Moore, one of our oldest Pan-African leaders from the North American shores, as well as Connie Tucker, the mother of Oli Tau on this line. Our motto is Harambe. Harambe, Harambe, which in Kiswahili means let's pull together. Let's pull together. Let's pull together. I also honor the ancestor President Julius Nyerere that hosted the 6th Pan-African Congress on the shores of Tanzania. We learned a song when we were growing up, and I'll share that with you, and it embodies where I stand. And it goes a little bit like this. Sisi watu weusi watu wazuri pamoja tutashinde, pamoja tutashinde. We are black, beautiful people. Together we will win. Together we will win. Freedom land, power to our people. Give me my assignment, my marching orders. I am a community organizer that's fighting for the environmental justice rights of all people and that we are stop being polluted by the industrial and military complex that is polluting our communities worldwide. Let us pull together, let us stand together, and I'm waiting for the next set of orders. Please don't forget to include all of our young people, for they stand ready to do what is necessary. Free the land, Harambe.
All right. Unfortunately, we're still waiting on some of our speakers who logged off to come back on. So we're going to introduce from the Afro-descendant nation, Brother Rashawn.
Right. Just a few more words about Rashawn. He is the Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Afro-descendant nation. His name is Rashawn Dabar, and he has been a warrior of the Afro-descendant nation for many, many years. And because the Honorable Salis Muhammad was unable to join us today, he's going to speak on his behalf for just a few minutes, let me just turn it over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Brother. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rashawn Shabazz. I'm the Minister of Foreign Affairs for the Afro-descendant nation. And boy, haven't we had a great, great event. We're certainly putting the world on notice that we're ready to take a stand. Like I said, it's an honor and a pleasure to be here and to represent the Afro-descendant nation. Now, I know you all have heard that term Afro-descendant said quite a bit today. For those of you who haven't heard, Afro-descendant is our legal global collective identity. It was established in around 2002. The UN sponsored a forum that consisted of 19 different countries, including Brazil, the US, Canada, Argentina, and many other countries, representing 250 million people. And what prompted that forum was that the Honorable Salis Muhammad and his wife, Attorney Harriet Abubakar, were conducting interventions on our behalf in the UN since 1992. Initially, the UN grouped us with the Americans and looked at us as American citizens. But after learning that not only were we robbed from our motherland, Africa, our identity had been destroyed, thus leaving us as a separate stateless people. In addition, we didn't have any human rights protection under Article 27 of the International Covenant of Civil and Political Rights. Thus, we had the forum. And so we, representatives from the United States and 19 other nations in the slave diaspora chose the name Afro-descendant. So that is our legal global collective identity, which means that you can be Pan-Africanist and Afro-descendant. You can be New African and Afro-descendant. You can be Christian and Afro-descendant. You can be Muslim and Afro-descendant. Afro-descendant is that term that covers all of us under that legal umbrella. Now, this is my first time here in Africa, and to my pleasant surprise, we were very welcomed by the citizens and by the government. We had many meetings with many government officials, and those meetings were very fruitful and also very productive. What that said to me is that we are in solidarity. It said that we're fighting the same fight against imperialism, against neocolonialism. It said that we're fighting as one. However, unfortunately, all of our people in the Americas and all of our people even in Africa, they don't know that we're fighting as one. They're not aware of this solidarity that we have here. So that just means that our work is cut out for us. Because make no mistake about it, brothers and sisters, all revolutions come through the people. So our job is to let the people know that we are now in solidarity. We are fighting the same fight. So with all that said, what are some of our next steps? What is it that we can do that's easy? What's the low-hanging fruit? What's our uniform call to action? Well, there's a couple of things we can do. The first thing is let the world know about solidarity so that those that want to give us support, that will give them a little bit of comfort, knowing that we're fighting the same fight they're fighting. Also, it'll give them a little bit of confidence and a little bit of courage. There's something about fighting a fight when you know somebody's got your back. We got to let the world know. Another thing that we can do is make Afro-descendant a household name. See, this is the first time that we collectively, now not individuals, not individual groups, this is the first time that we collectively have chosen a name for ourselves and did not get the approval of America or Europe or any other entity. It's ours. So making that a household name, what that's going to do, that's going to send a message of defiance. And it's going to strike fear in the heart of our oppressor.
Thank you. 30 seconds, comrade.
Okay, two things we have to do. Two things we can do right now. Easy hanging fruit. We can do this starting tomorrow. Let our people know. Use the media, use social media. Africa, use media, use social media. Let the people know we are in solidarity. And also let the people know that we as Afro-descendants, we are here to take our rightful place on this planet. It's been an honor and a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, Foreign Minister Rashan. We're going to move on. I know we've got a tight ship here. I'm going to turn it back to Safiwe.
Thank you, Sister Tawhida. We have a few more speakers. I know it's been a long day, but that's just because we have so many people that are in alliance with what we're doing, so many powerful players around the planet. That being said, our next speaker, Dr. Abue Fubeya, he has been leading the Pan-Africanists in the Spanish-speaking world. And in November, this past November, held a very important Pan-African conference in support of the Alliance of Sahel States. And I know that he's been in communication with the president of the commission. So with no further ado, I'd like to give the floor to Dr. Abue. Please unmute your mic. Abue.
Can you spotlight him, please?
Yeah, he's under my name. He signed in under my name.
I don't know where he is. Okay.
He's the second Sipiwe Baleka.
Oh, okay.
Let me ask to unmute. Please bear with us.
Okay, I see him now.
Abue, we're waiting for you. If not, we have to move on to Baba Baye. Calling one more time, Aboué. All right, maybe he will come back because we have to keep it moving. Everybody is important, including our next speaker, who's a Pan-African legend. His works go back all the way to the Sixth Pack. He was part of the Black think tank, Pan-African think tank, president of the Pan-African Association in America. He's a good friend and colleague and mentor. He recently wrote a book on Pan-Africanism as it relates to the 21st century. I could go on, but they say patience is a virtue, and I'm so thankful. Baba Baye, please address the gathering.
Ani Sogama. I say that in Bambara because when I was, my parents, I'm a second generation Black nationalist and Pan-Africanist, and I'm in my 70s. My parents, my father moved our family to live in Mali during the time that Modibo Keita was president of the nation. I lived in Mali, was immersed in French African school system the whole time that we lived in Mali for roughly 3 years. And I came back to I left the United States in 1964, came back in 1967. So I had an opportunity to not only talk about Africa theoretically as an adult, but I also had the opportunity to live with African children and go to school with African children on a regular basis in the French African school system in Sikasso and Bamako of Mali. I say all that to say that it's very important that we understand that immersion is a very important process for being an African person. We can be an African person from the theoretical, and then there's the reality of being an African from living the experience. Living the experiences shapes you in a different way from living from the theory. Because when you wake up every day and you see the African sun and you eat African food and you play with African children, it gives you a different personal experience. I stand on the shoulders of Amos Muhammad and Dr. Raquel Muhammad, who returned from Africa and joined the Nation of Islam. Amos Muhammad became a minister under the Honorable Elijah Muhammad from 1967 to 1974. So I had that experience. I also stand on the shoulders of a mother who created one of the educational models that was instituted by the Nation of Islam back in the 60s. But I also stand on my own shoulders of activism, which includes Pan-Africanism and my participation in the 1992 Pan-African Black think tank that took place in Badagry, Nigeria, back in 1992, where 30 of us speaking from different, 30 of us. You gave me off yesterday. 30 of us got together from all over the Black world, and we sat down and created the Black Agenda beyond the year 2000. That Black Agenda is still in my book as a matter of process, because we sat down, worked with each other on 12-hour days, sometimes with kerosene lamps, to pound out something that all of us, regardless of what language we spoke, could agree to. And some of us were speaking Spanish and needed to have a translator. Some folks were speaking Portuguese and needed to have a translator. And we, of course, speaking English, had needed to have translators, along with the brothers and sisters who we could help out who spoke French. I say this to say that our movement is an international global movement that must include all African people who speak all the different European languages that exist. And then we must also include in that experience other Black people in the world, those in Australia, the Dalit people in India, and all those Black people who are repressed and suppressed throughout the entire global world, who don't even know of the Pan-African process, but need to learn it and need to have access to it by other Black people who are involved. I am
30 seconds, Baba.
30
seconds, Baba.
I am happy to be a shield for the Sahel Alliance and its leaders, knowing what they are willing to sacrifice. The question is, are we? We also have to be the sword, because you do not win on defense, you win on offense. And if we are not the sword, we cannot win. I suggest to all the leaders of the Sahel movement to read The Destruction of Black Civilization by Ancestor Chancellor Wisdom as a Bible for understanding how to move forward in a world of white supremacy. We've called it everything at this point but white supremacy, but we are in a struggle with white supremacy for the very soul of us as African people. And that is the enemy. And until you can define the enemy, there's no way you can defeat the enemy, and you cannot defeat the enemy on defense. So with that being said, the little time that I've had, hopefully if I've added something to the conversation, I don't know, who knows, but as I want to give once more, I wanted to thank the leaders of the Sahel for the courage and the strength to stand up when nobody else has stood up, knowing that they have a target on their backs 24/7 hours a day. And you have to know what that, in order to know what that is, you have to be a revolutionary.
Thank you, Baba Baye. I've been given the signal that it's now time for us to move to our declaration of a united front. I think we got everyone in that is still signed in online. Our apologies if we overlooked or missed anyone, but we are on the 5-hour mark. And all of this is to bring us to a point of action where we can take the first step by declaring a united front on this day of self-determination. So with that, I turn it over to you, Comrade Tawhida and Comrade Oli, in case you have a few more people, and over to Comrade Malik.
We're running out of time.
Yes.
Can you just give us 2 more speakers, because we're running out of time. They're trying to kick us out the room. We just want to have 2 words from Junior Negus. Junior Negus, please keep it short.
Turn your camera on.
And turn your camera on.
Mike, we're sorry you had to wait so long.
Go.
Okay, turn your mic on.
Alicia.
Okay.
Greetings, family. I was feeling a little bit out, but give thanks I still get a chance. I just want to say, with the spirit of Thomas Sankara, the people of Burkina Faso with the president, and I show full solidarity and give thanks for the work. But I wanted to mention the fact that His Majesty also did do quite a bit of work as one of the fathers of the liberation struggle from Ethiopia, whereas Ethiopia from 1900 was one of the first ones who called for a Pan-African summit from in the 1900s. So I stand in full support of this revolution movement. I don't know if I could take just another minute, because I see the reparation argument is in full force. And I just want to specify that since the 2001 conference here in South Africa, the reparation did become an official move, whereas it should be led by Africans, where reparation means to repair the damage. And of course, the damage was done in how Africa was governed through the Berlin Conference. We would like to repair the damage of bringing forward our ways of governance through our king, removing all those borders. So I would say that with the dignity of our kings as a people, we should look into the restoration of our kingdoms. Yeah, so we give thanks again, Brother Abraham, President, because I think in moving forward, we must secure our army, because it seems like we're going to have to take some actions, But I give thanks for the few words. I did have a few things to
Sorry,
express
brother,
and
just don't have enough
define.
time.
Okay, I want to say something
Give
really
thanks,
quick,
Sister
please.
Ole
Just,
and
just
Brother
hold on,
Sipo.
hold on. We're going, we're really running out of time. They're kicking us out of this room. And this artist has been on all day. They've been promoting with on IRA FM and Roots FM. If the brother could come on, Carbon.
No, who's sharing that? I don't know. Is someone sharing their screen? Okay,
Yes,
thank
we
you.
get Carbon.
Thank you, Junior Negus. Thank you.
This will be the last speaker. Please, Carbon, come on
I wanted
and
to
take us
say
out.
something. I've been asked to say something.
Who
I wanted
is
to say something, please.
Yes,
Oh,
that is
Madam
the first queen of Haiti, Mazazi.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
just briefly,
I wanna
Queen of
say
Haiti.
something.
Briefly. I don't know, Sherry.
I don't see her.
Queen of Haiti, we're waiting. Okay, we're not hearing her.
Carbon.
We're gonna go back. Carbon, we're gonna close it out with you, brother.
Well, I've done it several times. I don't think he's there.
Yeah.
Melius Teligen, we do
Okay.
have one more from Haiti, though. They don't have connection, so can you allow them to at least say hello?
Yes. Go
Yes,
ahead.
they can
Go
say
ahead.
hello.
Melius Teligen, n'importe moun ki a iti, s'il vous plaît, ouvi micro kounya, kamwa pou nou ka wè, pou salut tout moun. Mais youn, Met Teligen?
Yes, I'm back. Let me say it real quick. I just want to thank.
Yeah, they don't have great connection, but they said hello and they're grateful to be on this platform.
Okay.
Okay, let's close it out.
Okay, well, I just want to thank okay, I'm back. I just want to thank President Ibrahim for all that he's doing for Haiti. Black people, it is time for us to get together. Can you guys hear? It is time for us to get together. I don't care where we're from, we have to become one. Because what's going on in this world right now, we cannot be fighting against each other anymore. It is time to love another. It's time for us to love each other. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. We want to thank everybody that has taken the time to be a part of this historic event. We brought together so many different organizations representing different ideologies. But one thing's for sure, we're all united for one Africa and building bridges with Africa and the Pan-African world. We were supposed to close it out with an artist by the name of Carbon, and M1 was about to be a part of this from Dead Prez and Hakeem. But because we've gone over and have quite a bit of speakers, they got kicked off. Steve Golding at this point was supposed to come in and speak. He's in Wales, representing the United Nations, UNIA, United Negro Improvement Association, Marcus Garvey's organization, but he's in Wales in a noisy environment, and so he won't be able to come on. Thank you to all the organizers. Thank you to Baba Malik, Brother Malik, Zulu Shabazz. Thank you to our elder, Ajabu Moja. Thank you to the whole team. Thank you to this sister, Dr. Tahida, Dr. Harriet, to Brother Rashad, just everybody on the ground that is working very hard to organize this. Thank you. And thank you to the foreign minister of Burkina Faso. Thank you to the president of the Sahel state, Basaloma Bazi. Your speech was wonderful. Thank you to Safiwe for being a wonderful moderator, and just the whole team that put this together. We thank you, and we're going to try to do this again. And again, don't forget, we've opened up an office right here in Burkina Faso at the African American Academy. The work continues. Black Power.